You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Libertarian Country is one of the fastest growing and most popular liberty-themed apparel companies in the world. This American-based company was founded by two brothers out of Baltimore who had a vision to create an online store that offers fun, unique, and controversial political clothing and accessories. This five-star company offers the hottest shirts, hoodies, hats, and so much more. So check them out today. This is an independently owned, liberty-loving business that basically gives you the exact type of apparel and paraphernalia that you've wanted anyway. You just didn't know you wanted it now. Every purchase you make using the link in the show notes allows a small part of your purchase to come back and support the show. So go grab some awesome Libertarian Country swag using that link in the show notes. You'll thank me later.
Hey everybody, check out the Break the Bell podcast, where we believe your voice is your most powerful weapon. We're a weekly dose of our take on what's going on in the world, mixed with a side of history. Find us wherever podcasts are found or on social media handle at Break the Bell Pod. And most importantly, never stop talking.
Prepare yourself. You're on the run with Remso W. Martinez.
Tim Young, this has been something that we have been planning for a little while, and I'm so glad that we're finally here in this moment. You back in the swamp itself.
For like 3 days.
Really?
I leave, actually, yeah, I came back Thursday, and I'm out on Monday.
You've been itching to get out since you came back, huh? Because you saw what the rest of the country's like?
I hate this town so much. There was an article that I always reference when I'm on the radio from Human Events. There was this guy who was like, "Goodbye, D.C." And it was kind of weird because he's like one of these, he's clearly a bougie consultant. I don't know, did you see this article? I forget who he was.
I saw it and I read it, and it basically just comes down to everyone here is so much like me, I need to leave.
Is that what you saw?
That's what I saw.
You read the same article?
May have or may not have.
There was a thing where it was like, there's no reason to be here anymore because like all of the culture's gone and all that's left is people telling me how I should look at them.
Yeah, we're thinking of two different ones. There were a few kind of like that, and it's really good. It's really funny. This is the type of stuff, like if I were collecting like some of the select articles that have come out during the pandemic, it's got to be like, you know, after a lot of the lockdowns, but definitely right after the riots. Just when you've got these people that are living in like Chicago and New York City who are finally like, you know what? It's time to fucking leave.
A million people left New York already. That's confirmed. It's actually there's a record number of people, a record number of vacant apartments there. And like I love who I live with. In fact, we're probably going to get yelled at by one of my housemates is right here right now. He's going to be very upset that I didn't tell him we were recording today. It's very fun. I'm cheap, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not. That's one of the key things that
would have never known.
One of the reasons I went on the road, I was like, wait, the first flight to Austin from D.C. when I started this in maybe the first week of April was $39, and my flight back was $19.
Fuck.
And so...
Who are you flying?
Southwest.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, it's never that cheap on Southwest. Never.
On Southwest?
I've flown Southwest forever because they hustle.
You tell me Delta Airlines, I could believe that. Southwest?
Frontier. I just did American, actually. They allow drinking in first class in American. I had a group fly me into Dallas for some work I was doing first class, and they've added drinking back as of like this week.
They took that away?
So people are paying $300 or whatever it is for first class to go to Dallas, or $400 or whatever the hell people pay. I don't know because I'm cheap. When I saw it, I was like, guys, I could have got out here for $100. Why'd you spend like whatever it was? And so on the flight back, I was like, wait, they're taking drink orders? And I had 6 Woodford Reserves in 2.5 hours.
Dear God.
It was free. Dude, if it's free.
Might as well take advantage of it.
In Southwest Baltimore, a lot of people don't know that about me. Like, I grew up in Southwest Baltimore in the hood. Like, we were the white family. And so, like, if it's free, you take it. Like, that's what I learned. Like, we were poor. Like, if it's like, again, I can't bother. By the way,
what are we drinking? I went ahead and picked this up. We're actually in Tim's apartment right now, and I've got this tradition when I do something live, which I've rarely gotten to do the last year and a half. I always go to the ABC and I pick up something I haven't tried before, and I picked up.
You went all out for me.
I went all out, and you can keep the rest of this afterwards. My gift to you. It's Jim Beam and cola. It just comes already.
I don't want it. It tastes like. I haven't had a Slurpee in years, but I think that's what a Slurpee tastes like, isn't it?
Oh, it's like, okay, so it's not bad.
It's not good.
It's kind of flat.
It's very flat, isn't it?
I should have just bought a 2-liter and just made a Jack and Coke.
You do realize I
scratch.
have a very large bourbon collection. Like, in fact,
I could feel like it's staring at me.
You're sitting on, like, I handed you a bottle that, like, only basically you have drank out of in my house because I'm not a big Scotch person.
It's that fucking good.
It's 22-year age stuff from Kirkland, like Costco, that nobody can ever find, and I got a bottle of it for my...
How long was it aged for?
22 years.
Man, I'm a Virginia snob. Like, where I went to school in Lynchburg, we're next to some of the best distilleries, but I swear to God, like the last time...
Some of the best distilleries where? In Virginia?
In Virginia.
Okay. Good.
Have you tried it?
Yes. Oh, here, by the way, when I was hosting radio...
The music of D.C.
Yeah.
Sing to me. Sing me your song, D.C.
When I was hosting radio for SiriusXM, I fill in for David Webb. We had a poll going of when there would be an emergency vehicle going by the house, and it took 2 days. It was the 3 segments an hour. It was the 13th segment. There was a siren out of 9, 10, 45 segments. So
were you taking like shots each time you heard one too?
No, drink it. It was 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm already burned enough as it is. And
ever since this whole COVID thing started, it's basically like airport rules. 10 a.m. I want a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, it really is. Now, what was I telling you about Baltimore? It doesn't matter.
When it's free, take it.
Oh, yeah. That's why, like, listen, a lot of people aren't going to like this, but, like, the looters, like, look, if the store's open and they're not going to arrest you and you're looting in Minneapolis, like, I saw all those people, like, running in and running out, I would have been in there looking for, like, the rare Ninja Turtles figures that I collect from Target. I would have been like, wait, there's a sale at Target right now.
I was having a conversation, I think it was with Juliana and her brother, like a couple weeks ago. There's the whole talk about reparations. Yeah. And as we're talking about it, and I just think it's, absolutely fucking stupid. That's not a surprise to anyone listening. But, like, it's like, I almost agree with you. Your reparations was whatever you stole when the cops weren't enforcing the law. So if you didn't get your new TV, that's entirely your fault.
Yeah, that's like the whole thing, right? Like, so, like, they looted, I don't know how many Targets in Minneapolis, and nobody. Were there any arrests? There were like 0 arrests. In fact, Target, like
are we ever going to know?
There were no arrests. At max, there were like 10, and people like got a slap on the wrist and they got let out. Right? They didn't even like probably recover
because of COVID. They can riot, but you can't put them close to each other. You got to let them out. Yeah, exactly. That's the logic.
Exactly. So like I'm like, man, a lot of Republicans and a lot of people on the right would like pearl clutch and be like, I did the pearl clutch there. I was actually clutching, and be like, oh my gosh, how could you ever say that? Are you fucking kidding me? If the Target is open and like people, they're not like arresting people to go in, it gets written off. I lost a girlfriend a couple of years ago. Well, not even girlfriend. We were just seeing each other because I got a free PlayStation 4 from Walmart.
How the hell do you get those for free?
So here's what happened. They had a Black Friday sale, and I got the $199 PlayStation that came with like Spider-Man or something like that.
I know what you're talking about. And I was working at GameStop when we were doing that.
So I got in on that, right? And then Walmart was like, oh, hey, sorry. Like it said like never shipped. Like FedEx had never shipped. And I talked to Walmart for literally like a week and a half. And I was like, okay, listen, I got this. This is bait and switch. Why don't you give me an equivalent? Of course, I know that's going nowhere. So we go back and forth, and they're like, we can give you a refund, we can give you a refund, we can give you a refund. Finally, like after a week and a half, I'm like, fine, just give me the $200 back, whatever. 6 hours later, I got a notification from FedEx, something shipped. And so I get the refund, and then it comes in, and I was talking to this girl about it, and she was in the military. We'd gone out a little bit, and she was like, "That's stealing." I'm like, "No, it's not. They write that off. Like it's already been processed as a return. Like what am I going to do? Show up to?" She's like, "You got to take that back to Walmart." I go, "What's going to happen when I take that back to Walmart?"
They're going to look at you and say, "Are you sure you don't want this?"
And
they're going to give you an out. No one wants to in-process.
And then by the time, like number one, it's been returned. So basically, I'm just handing them a PlayStation 4. And by the time they realize that I'm an idiot handing them a PlayStation 4, somebody else is going to get a free PlayStation 4 out of this. Like they're going to take it for themselves and put it in their locker and take it home. Like there's just no way. Like it's out there, and like this probably happens all the time. Now, like on the flip. When I got my computer from B&H, my very nice MacBook, it's like the blown-out MacBook, the 15-inch from the last like before they got rid of the 15-inch MacBooks. It's got like i9 processor and like 2 terabyte solid state hard drive and all sorts of shit in it, and 32 gigs of RAM. I love this thing. It's going to last me forever. It was delivered to the wrong place, and I freaked out. And because it was signed for at another building in this area. There's a bunch of buildings around here. Yeah, as opposed to being dropped off here.
You sign that shit. That's ballsy. They can track you.
Exactly. So it was a front desk that just like blanket signs for everything, right?
Oh, it's one of those situations. I thought it was like, you take it to the wrong house, guy opens the door, then he signs.
I lost my mind. I filed a police report. I did the whole thing because I was waiting for this thing. I don't like ordering something that's over $2,000. By the way, I got it for like half price. Like they were clearancing it at B&H, which I don't get paid for, by the way, but B&H photo, amazing. So I reach out to them. I tweet about it, of course, because when you have an audience, people pay attention to you on Twitter as opposed to like being a regular consumer. I do take advantage of that.
Leverage your power.
Rest in power, friend. That'll be at like my funeral. They'll be like, he complained about Southwest Airlines and got a $75 voucher once. Rest in power, Tim Young. But B&H offered to send me another computer immediately. And I was able to track this thing down and went around and picked it up and immediately called them back and said, cancel it. And I don't know how many people would have done that. I just know that the guy, when I called back and was like, hey, cancel that computer, that free computer you're about to send me, he was like, oh, my God, no one does that. So, like, there's...
What type of saint are we dealing with?
There's a dollar limit to what I will... Like, if it's above 200, I'm like, it's a lot. And also B&H, I still consider a small business. I love B&H. Have you ever been to B&H in New York?
No.
It's like...
The one time I actually planned on going to New York was March 23rd of this year.
You should have gone anyway. No.
Now looking at what's happened since, I'm pretty glad we didn't freaking go. Yeah. All I wanted to do, I just want to go 2 things. I wanted to go to Coney Island and get a hot dog from there, and I want to go Midtown Comics. 2 things. Would have been in and out.
Sounds great.
It's all I wanted to see. I'm a man of very simple needs. I just wanted to grab my hot dog and my comic book, take a good touristy picture, and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then that day is when Cuomo's like, yeah, no one can come in. No one can leave. And for like a few weeks, everyone was like, oh, my God, he's a hero. He's doing it now. And then if you were an old person, he kills you, and now it's a completely different story.
I would recommend everybody go to B&H Photo, too, when you go there. Because it's the
was it looted?
No. Oh, God, no. It's run by the Jewish community up there. I think.
Oh, yeah. They all have guns.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. God bless those people. I wouldn't mind being a part of the tribe, but no, it's all of my friends call it the Jewish North Pole because you go in there and it's like, number one, they have candy at all the places. Like this is going to turn into just a big advertisement for B&H Photo. I love this fucking place, and like you see like all the packages and things. They have all of like the conveyor belts and stuff above you in the store, so it's like you're in North Pole with like you see electronics like sliding along the ceiling as they're shipping things in their Midtown location. It's amazing. It's one of the coolest places, and like the best deals on like all electronics. Literally, this is an advertisement for B&H Photo. I love those people. The commercial for it makes me cheer. Like when you call up, their customer service is like a real human being. Again, not getting paid for this. I just like there are very few businesses that, as an older man now, I'm getting old. I just love B&H Photo all day long. Love it.
If you are from B&H and you have not been looted and you have some discretionary funds, you can please find the contact form on the website of this episode. Thank you.
I'm telling you right now. They were the nicest people, and you talk to a human being. It's the coolest. It's a great thing. Closed on Saturdays for Shabbat.
Oh, that's how you know they're hardcore.
Yeah. God bless them.
I think there are a lot of businesses that if they just tried to, throw up some type of cultural front like Chick-fil-A, they would do remarkably better. Because I think part of the thing with Chick-fil-A is like, okay, listen, I like Chick-fil-A. I like it more than I like other places. But at the same time, fuck no. No. You know what's funny? Like years ago after college, I wanted to go work for Chick-fil-A corporate. There was this thing out of Richmond. It was called the Chick-fil-A Leadership Experience, where it was basically like The Apprentice. For a full year, you were put on salary, and you had to work every position from mopping the floors to opening an actual franchise location. And I beat everybody. I beat everybody. I compete against people with MBAs, people that had business experience. I beat everyone. And then when it came down to the last round of corporate interviews, they said, we think we're going to restart the process. Here's some money for gas. Thank you for competing. I didn't do the year. This was like the 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and you had to go. I had to go from Lynchburg to Mechanicsville.
You had to memorize 3 books of the Bible at the same time.
All of them, and in Hebrew. It was a whole thing. I've never said it's my pleasure as many times in my life as when I was doing that. And it was an intense experience.
It wasn't your pleasure.
It was not. I hated people more than I had ever hated
Super
them.
weird. So the other day, I was in an Uber in Dallas, and the guy driving was a former hockey player who was like the regional manager. He had to get his knee redone, but he was the regional manager.
What's he doing driving Uber?
Whataburger. He was like, I just want to get away from the family, so I take our beater car out, and I do Uber for a couple of hours.
I respect the hustle.
Dude, he apparently was the regional manager for like 28 or 32, I forget what the number was, McDonald's, and then he became like the South Texas or something regional manager for it's really like that Jim Beam.
My God, it's not that bad. Like, I thought it was going to be really watered down or really flat, but like, my God, it's good.
I'm glad you did like 3/4 of that. But no, he was a former hockey player for the Jersey Devils, and like he's friends with the guy who is like the general manager now for the Red Wings, and a couple of they all played together on the same team. And we had this long conversation. He was just getting out. He was literally just getting out talking. Huge guy. So I believed him. I have no reason to not believe him. That would be the most either you believe him or he's a sociopath that's going to murder me.
I mean, one or the other. At least you come out of it with an interesting story.
Dude, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But no, that's he was like the regional manager for Whataburger, and I was talking to him about it. He hated not working. He was getting his knee fixed. But he's driving Uber. I love Uber sometimes.
Uber drivers have made some of my trips way more enjoyable than the actual trips themselves.
I picked up an Uber driver once when I was in Lexington, Kentucky.
Like you were driving Uber and you picked up an Uber driver?
No, I picked up a chick who was driving Uber.
Oh.
That was probably in the book of tick off the boxes of what I've done. Is this supposed to be about politics? Who cares?
Let it go where it goes. Just live in the moment.
just let it happen. Just let it happen.
Be with us.
I was loaded, and I was downtown in Lexington, and I ordered an Uber to go home because I was being safe. And I do the normal what are you up to? How's things? She's like, well, I just finalized my divorce 2 days ago, and I'm just driving Uber to do whatever. And I go,
Mazel tov.
Literally. So I was like, what are you doing driving Uber? It was a Friday night. I was like, what are you doing driving Uber? Let's go get a drink. And she pulls over, and she turns around and she goes, okay. And so she closed out the tab, and we went and got I got double loaded, she got single loaded, and then
Did you have to pay for the Uber?
No, she drove me home for free.
Oh, that's a good deal.
And then she left her wallet at my place, and I had to mail it to her in the morning, which was because she lived 2.5 hours away, and I was leaving town, and so I put it on overnight to get to her. But yeah, I picked up. I was totally plastered though. That was it was weird.
It's just one of those things where it's I wonder if people 20 years from now, I wonder if Uber is still going to be a thing. I definitely think ride sharing is going to be around, but people are going to be listening to this, hopefully, as long as the world's not over and that type of shit. And they're going to be like, well, he picked up a woman in a what? What's happening now?
It's like Instant Messenger, right? AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah. Or Blockbuster. You see Blockbuster finally reactivated their Twitter recently?
No, but I did see that the last Blockbuster you can rent on Airbnb and sleep there.
They've got a couch and a giant plasma screen TV and sleeping bags.
Still renting videos. If you're there, do they close it down when you sleep there, or can you bang someone while people are renting videos out?
You can do whatever you want. Start a meth lab, have an eyes wide shut type of orgy party. They're basically letting you do whatever you want.
The Illuminati is actually going to rent Blockbuster and have that's all they do at Illuminati.
It just seems like something they would do. They're no longer at Chantilly for Bilderberg. They have to be a Blockbuster.
And they've lost Epstein Island, right? So they have to be that last Blockbuster. Where's the last Blockbuster? Alaska or something?
It's in Iowa.
Is it Iowa?
Random Midwest place.
I've got a computer with me and the internet. How much does it cost to rent the last?
It wasn't much either. The thing is, though, you have to be a local. You have to be a local. So you have to be a resident of the town. It's their way of giving back to the community.
Can I just tell you, I'm very highly rated on Airbnb.
Does your roommate know that? Oh wait, you're not listing this place on Airbnb.
No. I'm highly rated as a traveler because when I travel the country, it's cheaper. I'm digging here. There's an article on Airbnb. Here it is. Entire house hosted by Sandy. $4 a night. Okay, it is like there's no booking dates. It's all booked up for like the next. I'm into 2021. I'm into like July 2021. Everything is booked.
It's a good fucking deal.
For $4. It's hosted by Sandy. Let's learn about Sandy. Her identity is verified. Sandy looks like a Blockbuster manager.
Like, is she giving off like Karen vibes or what?
Bend, Oregon.
Okay, that sounds like the place that would still have a Blockbuster video active.
Like this will. I mean, it looks like
who's the comedian who's like, you could tell a lot about people. John Mulaney, when he's like, one time I was on the phone with Blockbuster Video, and that should tell you how old I am.
This is crazy, though. Like, good for her.
It comes with, so from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it comes with like enough pizza for you and everyone who's showing up, unlimited drinks. You can use as many of the video games, and I guess they have VHS tapes, Blu-rays, DVDs, and you could just do whatever the hell you want for the entire night.
I love
this. This is why I think the myth of Blockbuster is going to outlive many other businesses. Like, if Best Buy dies, I don't think anyone will give a shit about Best Buy.
Circuit City.
I legit had to pause for a second and remember.
Circuit City actually used to give sales commission for sales at their store for like albums and stuff like that, for like CDs and shit.
And no one buys those anymore.
I remember when like CDs used to sell out. Were you old enough for that? You're younger than me.
I was still buying CDs because I remember the first thing my parents got me when I was a kid to listen to music. It was a Walkman, and it was not just a regular Walkman. It was a skip-proof Walkman. And I remember thinking, oh, my God, this is the best thing ever. But I remember it was Maroon 5's first CD. I was living in Australia. This is how I know it was really strange. I was living in Queensland, and Maroon 5 in the United States had just become popular, and it was kind of dying down. By the time it was dying down in the States, in Australia, you would have thought like it was the second coming of Christ. Oh, my God, we got new music and everything. It was strange.
Since World War II and fascism has died down in the world, now they've suddenly picked it up in Australia. It's like it's the new thing there.
Everything is delayed. It's like our 90s, the Canadians were still probably living in the 80s.
Oh, they probably are.
Probably still are.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, here's what I've been excited about for weeks, months now. The last thing we got to work on together when I was at the Times was the digital series where it basically started in the most awkward of ways. You told me you were leaving D.C. and you didn't know you were coming back.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, well, if you're going to do that right now, at least film it. And that's the second one.
Someone just died outside. There's a drug house.
How can you tell if like, do the different sirens represent something different?
One is them just getting through the red light to go get a coffee. And the other.
If you see an ambulance, if the light's on but no siren, it means they're carrying a dead body.
Does it?
Yeah, it means move, but we're not going to force you to move.
Have you ever been in an ambulance, by the way?
Yes.
Like, people don't realize they need to get over on the side of the road when there's an ambulance. Because, like, I blew a knee out a couple of times. I tore two of the four kind of quads off of one of my knees once. My knee wouldn't stay in place. It was the most painful shit in the world. Like, it would have been better if I just broke my leg, to be honest. And that's what the orthopedist, is that who it was? Whatever, the orthopedic doctor told me. But, like, I was in the back of an ambulance, and, like, after that, like, I mean, not that I wouldn't get over anyway, but I get over faster. Because you just never know what's going on in the back of an ambulance. These people are getting carted off to the...
I got knocked out during a game of basketball at school. I got, like, hit right in the side of the head where it's like whatever pressure point is right there, whatever temple, it's like you just press that with enough pressure, you're out. Doesn't matter whether you're me or, like, LeBron James. You get hit right there, you're just gone. And I just wake up, and I'm in the ambulance. And I'm just like, I don't know where I am right now, but it's cold in here. Can we do something about that? And then I wound up in the hospital.
Good Lord. All right, so you want to talk about my trip?
Yeah. So
I don't want to digress, because I could digress all day.
Yeah, so, like, this is... I got to tell you, and I mean, I've said this publicly, so I don't mind saying it again here. It was one of the coolest things I got to do, and maybe it was because of the timing.
Yeah, because you hated everything else at that point.
Because everything else was just so terrible. They closed down movie theaters, comics aren't printing, Netflix. I've watched Extraction like 20 times, and I mean, there was just nothing else going on. So this was like the only entertainment I had.
It turned into a pilot TV show, too, by the way.
What? Okay, spill from the beginning. From the beginning.
Yeah.
What made you leave?
I hate this fucking town. So everything
okay,
was shut
what
down.
more?
So, like, all I was doing every day was like I was in prison. I gained like 15 pounds on the road. I was losing weight. I was running every day, and I'm like, this is what fucking prison is. Like, because they let you out in the yard a little bit. You're stuck at home. They have all these stupid regulations on you. And so it was either stay here and be miserable in Washington, D.C., where, like, you know, mask orders were, like, picking up early and whatever. You know, what are we on? Day, like, right now, it's, like, day, like, 165 of 15 days to flatten the curve. Fuck.
It's Fauci's Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Where was I yesterday? I was in Adams Morgan, by the way, and somebody had, like, a I love Dr. Fauci sign in the front of the yard, and I screamed, fuck you, at their house. I wasn't even drunk. I was just screaming, fuck you. I should have taken it or set it on fire. Anyway, whatever.
It's legal, basically, but you're of the wrong skin tone to do that.
Yeah, I'm a Republican, too, so it doesn't work. So, yeah, I was like, let's just get on the road. So the first thing was this. I was like, my landlord was going to visit his mom. And, like, he's old. I don't know how. I think he's, like, in his 50s. And his mom's, like, in her, like, late 80s or something. He was going to go see her.
Keep her away from Cuomo.
Well, yeah. Well, she was in Texas. And he's like, hey, you know, flights to Texas are, like, $30. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, take a look at it. And so I go, okay. So I planned this trip to go into Austin to go see my friend for 3 days. And it was like, fly in $39, fly out 19. And I'm sitting there, and on, like, day 2, I go, why am I going back? Let's just do something with this. And so I pitched to the Washington Times that I'm going to just, like, drive. They're like, whatever, because they don't care.
Let's discuss the pitch.
The pitch was, look, I'm just going to drive around and write about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like doing the video thing. The video thing didn't come into play until later.
That came a few days afterwards because you had already published one piece. And
that, like, Rand Paul and the White House shared.
Yeah, so after that, it's like you're hitting something.
Yeah.
And then you call me a few days after that. You've had some time to simmer on this thing. Probably like 10 o'clock at night. At that point, I was working third shifts at the social media desk. And
making $3 an hour.
Essentially, it was slave wages.
Yeah.
And
they'll never listen to this, so I can just say
I'm not worried at all. I'm not worried at all.
Well, I'm not either. They cut my pay back there. I'm like, why? Anyway,
it's all out of love. That's what happens. But
yeah.
So Tim calls me after this piece has happened, and he's like, I'm just going to drive around. And I'm like, where are you going to drive around to? And you're like, I don't know, but I just went through Minot, South Dakota, and I got pulled over by the cops. Minot, North Dakota?
No, I got pulled over in Mission, South Dakota.
This is how you know it was going to be good.
Oh yeah, the Native American cops pulled me over, and they did the old "You're not from here, you're not from around here, are you, boy?" And I laughed out loud. Like, I don't think he's ever had, like, this cop. I don't think ever had anyone laugh hysterically when he said that. That might be white privilege talking. But I was like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay, cool. That's never happened to me. Thanks, sir. I was like, yeah, I'm a reporter. I was like, I'm a reporter here doing some coverage on COVID. And he goes, oh, well, have fun. Be safe. Drive slower.
You can see so much here.
Mission is the most depressing fucking place. Like, I went to. So
this is where you started after you've already.
I should have started before then because I got turned around from tribal lands. Mission has to be open, but I got turned around. There's a road, actually. Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, had a problem with whatever tribe is in the middle of the state keeping people off of tribal lands. And so
it's like they have a bad history of the white man.
They're like, the white guy's going to bring COVID onto our property. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Listen.
Don't accept blankets from him.
Hey, by the way, you got a pile of bourbon behind you. Hand me the one with the blue label. No, behind you.
Behind me?
Yeah.
That one.
By the way, in my apartment, there's almost like 400 bottles of bourbon. I'm having Remso hand me Old Forester 1910. This is just stuff, this is like excess stuff from my birthday party that's on the ground. I literally have...
I've never seen so many people walk out with, like, bottle after bottle.
Well, I did a fundraiser for my favorite barbecue place.
That was a blast. Probably the largest number of people I've seen in a condensed space in months.
So the reason I did it was that I knew people wanted to come out and I wanted to benefit the thing, and I knew that they were following the social distancing bullshit policies. And so how do you throw a 40th birthday party, I just turned 40, in a place where you can get all of your people together? And it was, you close out a restaurant. And so I closed out a restaurant where they were playing by the rules, and I brought bourbon, and everybody left with a bottle of bourbon.
It was epic.
And they were able to use the money. I raised enough money for them to not only give a bonus to every one of their servers, which is what I wanted, but also to buy all new outdoor furniture, which they desperately needed to be able to make more. I mean, they raised a couple $1,000s that night. So
I can believe it.
I mean, it was great. Anyway, so I was
okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. You leave D.C. You originally go to Texas for 3 days. On day 2, you're like, "Fuck it, I'm not going back." Then you go from Texas to North Dakota.
Yeah, because why not? Because I hadn't been South Dakota and North Dakota before. I wanted to knock out the lower. Suddenly, it turned into knocking out the lower 48 states. I'm sitting around with my friend drunk in her backyard, because she had not left her house because she was paranoid in Austin. So I'm like, whatever. So I went to the liquor store, got her all her favorite beer. I literally stocked her cabinet full of bourbon and everything else you could want. So, like, I stayed with her for free. Good friend of mine. Has ups and downs. She was kind of in a down, like a rut. A lot of people went through a rut during this. So I'm like, I'm going to stock your, like, bourbon and whatever, and then bring you all the beer you want. So I'm sitting around in the backyard, got totally sunburnt, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why am I going back? And I turned around and I go, why am I going back? She goes, dude, I don't know.
It's not like you needed to be here to do your job.
No, because all my jobs were, like, distance anyway. You should ask me about my Fox 5 job before we get over with this. What happened with that? They cut me due to budget, but I think it was something else. They literally told me so many times when they were letting me go that it had nothing to do with me and my personality, and they said it was great on TV. They said it so many times that I was like, actually, let's just cover that right now.
Do it. I'm going to go fill this up. You start talking.
You got the Spyburn bottle right there, don't you? The Which one? Yeah, that's good. No. Yeah. That's the
Kirkland one.
Dude, that is
I was when you told okay, just off the bat, when I think Kirkland, I'm not thinking good whiskey.
It's great. So between that, the bourbon is down behind you over there too. I pulled it out for people at the birthday party, and they were like, "What in the world? This is the best stuff." Kirkland, again, another brand that B&H Photo, Kirkland. I love fucking Kirkland. So they're like, it has nothing to do with you. They did cut a few other people the same day that they cut me. Don't get me wrong. And also, like Fox in general, the Murdoch Onos, they cut back on like extra sports programming, so they cut like the additional like WWE programming.
How recent was this?
So it was when I was in Birmingham, actually with the guys who... So the reason I knew about WWE programming getting cut was I was hanging out in the middle of nowhere in Birmingham with the guys who do all the costuming for WWE, because my life is dope. Again, like I went on this trip that was epic. And 2 months? I don't know. But anyway, so like if you watch the show... So I used to do this stupid show, Like It or Not, which I thought was stupid. Like I just thought it was the dumbest thing I've ever done. I hope they listen to this. It's dumb as fuck. They just want something.
Was the money good?
No.
Okay, that's stupid.
They pay, like, minimums. They pay, like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk. I don't give a shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this or not. But, like, they pay, like, nothing. Like, people on TV get paid nothing to do what they do. Like, nothing. Local TV, they just think that they're going to be stars. And a lot of them think
I
they're,
want to preface, he's still sober right now.
Yeah.
So this isn't anything else talking.
No, listen, I don't behave any differently drunk than I do sober.
That makes one of us. Please continue.
These people are working their asses off. And local news, like, they work their asses off to make stories, and they get paid nothing for it. And, like, so I was paid to be, like, a commentator and a talking head. And, like, so I would do the show Like It or Not. That was, like, they would come in and be like, Beyonce's dropping a new album today. What do you think? And I'm like, fuck me. Like, fuck me. Like, I don't want to talk about this dumb shit. This is, like, insulting to me. And so, like, every time, like, a mask thing would come up or anything, like, a Black Lives Matter would come up, like anything. So, like, they're losing sponsors at the same time, right? Because, like, they just don't.
Everybody was. Yes. WMAL, everything's cut. WTOP, everything's cut.
Runs off of, like, local businesses. So when they don't get the commercials to fill a commercial break, they have to do, like, PSA.
When you lose the Habib Carpin Center, you're not doing well.
So I was thinking about this, actually, before we did this podcast, and that's why I was excited to bring this up. So, like, I would be like, BLM is just a bunch of rioters and it's a scam because they hate Israel and they're Marxists. And also mask orders don't work and masks are bullshit because, like, it's scientifically proven you touch your face more when you have a mask on.
It's the most contaminated thing you're going to come in contact with.
Yes, and also, like, most of the masks people wear are, like, one-time use, supposed to be in, like, sterile environments. So, like, I would say that, and then they would throw to their local PSAs and it would be like, Black lives are important. That's why. And then after that one was over, it was like, wear your mask and save your neighbor. So, like, literally, you have this guy on your program who is like, I don't give a fuck about the Beyonce thing or Taylor Swift's new whatever the fuck. And then like, BLM is dumb, and also mask orders are retarded. And so, like, am I allowed to say retarded? What? I don't care.
I've already said fuck several times. Please keep going.
Yeah. And then they would run these PSAs that were like alternate. It's sort of like
socially acceptable people do not listen to this podcast.
No, that's fine. And so in like 2012, the same thing happened to me. So Mitt Romney, when he lost the election, I hated Mitt Romney. I have a long history of hating Mitt Romney. I had 2 number 1 ebooks on Amazon.com. I actually beat Glenn Beck's book back in the day when it was released, and it beat the Bible. One of my books beat the Bible on the free releases. It was number 6 on overall Amazon on free releases once.
All you had to say was, I beat the Bible once.
The Bible and the Quran, because the Bible always beats the Quran in America. So I was on.
It's like it went back through my throat and like up through my nose for a second because I'm trying to breathe and drink at the same time.
So I did. So that, you know what's really crazy though is that like there's actually Democrat Oppo research. Like someone's going to listen to this and like try to tear it apart. And we'll get to that.
They're out there.
People like fact checking me is fucking insane to me. By the way, I'm right most of the time. But anyway, so I read a book on Mitt Romney back in the day. That was like, I did 50 Shades of Obama and 50 Shades of Romney. It was like 50 Shades of Obama, hint, they're all lies, and 50 Shades of Romney, hint, they're all white. And Romney's, like I did everything. I talked about all the craziest parts of like Mormonism, like all of their beliefs, because their belief systems, like it's, so if you gave me a choice between, if you were like, you can only pick one religion for the rest of your life, is it Scientology or Mormonism? Scientology. Scientology. Like in a heartbeat.
Okay, tell me if this is true. I'm sorry I got sidetracked. I'll totally forget this. Is it just me?
Sign me up for Sea Org right now.
Okay, like seriously though, like if you are anything in media or politics in this town, the Scientologists will reach out to you at least twice. Did you ever get a formal invite to do like the ketone measurement bullshit thing?
Oh, now you maybe thetans. They test your thetan level. You hold like a bop it, like a
and this thing from like Star Trek moves around.
I met a guy once years ago here, and he was trying to hustle me on the street. I've never gotten an email. PETA emailed me when I was on Fox 5 a bunch, like my personal email. I used to get a bunch of stuff in my Fox 5 email. It was crazy. Like I was like, how do you even know how to find what my Fox 5 email is? But like. I had a guy on the street try to hustle me Scientology here in town. And he's like, are you stressed out ever? And I'm like, nah. He goes, no, wait, what? Because that's their line. Because, thetans, it's because the alien soul is inside of you, and it makes your thetan level go up and makes you feel stressed. That's their spin.
It's the curse of humanity, according to what's her name from King of Queens.
Oh, yeah, Leah Remini. She's
yes.
a really great show. But,
that show is fucking crazy.
But she's out of it.
Yeah, and she's trying to pull other people out of it, too. And she almost got...
murdered by them?
Well, that, but who's the guy from Greece? John Travolta. She almost got John Travolta out, and she failed to get John Travolta out.
Oh, he's probably a very high rank.
You know that Tom Cruise is a god, right?
Yes, to them, yeah.
Which is why for his next Mission Impossible, where he's going to space, not only is he going to make a giant record and a ton of money by doing that,
take on Lord Zeno.
Yes. Because it's part of their prophecy. I shit you not. Not only is he doing this to make a ton of fucking money, but it's part of it. Their thing. They keep adding to it, and they added another thing for Tom Cruise, I guess, to get more money out of it.
That's amazing to me. So what were we even talking about? Oh, so the thetan levels. So like this guy stopped me on the side of the road, whatever, up in Columbia Heights where I lived for a little bit in D.C. And like we talked about.
Oh, I almost got mugged in Columbia Heights.
I got robbed at gunpoint down the street from here. There's a whole thing. Like, USA 9 did a whole segment on it, by the way. I would, like, do USA 9 and Fox 5 at the same time, and USA 9 would promote it. And, like, the segments I did on USA 9 before I signed with Fox 5 would go viral, literally viral, through all of their, like, they would take my segments and put them around in, like, oh, God, what's the company that runs USA 9? I forget what it is, but that would go viral, and then this stuff.
They're not Sinclair, are they?
No. But they would go viral there, and then I would go and like say like crazier stuff on Fox 5 that would like should work better, and they never promoted it through the Fox networks. It was like literally they literally watched what another network was doing and saw that it would do really well, and they were like, let's just sign the guy and then sit on him. Which, like, good for you. Have me talk about Beyonce and then tell you how much I hate, like how much I hate all of your topics on your stupid fucking show at 7:00, and then had me talk about how masks don't work and Black Lives Matter is just a bunch of rioters and Marxists that hate Israel, and then run your PSAs on how everything is great. Like that.
What was Mission, South Dakota like?
I didn't even get so far. I was sleeping with the vice president of the company. Mission, South Dakota was empty. Don't do that, by the way. Mission, South Dakota was empty, and they had like a fried food place where I sat in the parking lot for a bit. So when I set the navigation to Mission, South Dakota, I was like, there will be something here. No, there's nothing in Mission, South Dakota.
And it was like that before all the shutdowns. Yeah. It's just an empty ass state. Their only export is like bison and George McGovern.
But like. Mission, there wasn't anything there, but like Rapid City was great, and so was like so the highlight of my trip was across the state in the Black Hills and Mount Rushmore. I thought it was amazing. Which, by the way, somewhere along the line, I left. I'm on all the dating apps. And like the Coffee Meets Bagel dating app stays located in D.C. when you travel, and all these liberal assholes are on there. I won't use the B word because a-hole is universal. All these liberal assholes are on there. And these chicks, like, they were like, what was your favorite part of your trip? And I was like, fucking Mount Rushmore and the Black Hills. There's nothing like it. It's gorgeous. It's the most, like, I think the most amazing part of this country. Like, there's remarkable things. But, like, I sat outside there and just took in nature. Like, I don't like nature. And I took it in, and I was like, holy moly, there's nothing like this.
I lived overseas, and I've gotten to be blessed enough to travel overseas a little bit. Yeah. And I mean, I tell people, you don't have to go to another continent to see, just complete out of this world beauty. It's in the United States.
Well, yeah, we're not even to the Amtrak right up the coast, but Coast of California that every old person told me to do, and I did it for like $109 because I was a little late booking, and it should have been $89 at the time when I did it. But like. So, like, these girls on that are these liberal pieces of shit on Coffee Meets Bagel and these dating apps in D.C. are just, like, they fucking hate America. It's like, fuck you. Like, you're in a country that, like, you get to actually hate the country. Like, there are other countries where if you hate the country... You
Say it. They all lived in Georgetown.
Some of them did. But, like, this one chick was like, what was your favorite part? And she's like really into the conversation. And I was like, Mount Rushmore. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't really like approve of Mount Rushmore. And I'm like, I don't give a flying fuck. Like, you wouldn't have the opportunities you have right now if not for those founding fathers that are on Mount Rushmore. I don't give a fuck about you. You don't like if you hate America, fucking leave.
I don't like Teddy Roosevelt's politics at all. But even I know enough common sense to know that, Teddy was a good American.
Yeah. It was, and so, like, when they say that, like, I literally tell them to fuck off. There's probably screenshots. Some girls like, I'm going to get this guy. And
can you believe what he said to me?
Yeah. Fuck you if you don't like America. Like, that's a whole thing. Like, I don't understand. I don't know how it gets to that point with these assholes that don't realize they're like, oh, I'm so limited and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you just went to an Ivy League school. Your parents are worth, like, $1 gazillion. You come to D.C., you make like $200 a year doing nothing but talking and being like fake significant, making no change, whatever. Like one of my ex-girlfriends was she did like income inequality. Like she talked about how like black women don't make as much as like anybody else because like you have to move the goalposts, like if you can, like to make it as extreme as possible.
She still believes that women get paid less than men for doing the same work.
Yeah, even though as a white woman she's getting paid $200,000 to talk about how black women don't make a lot of money. It's like, fuck you. Like, fuck you. How do you not look at this and realize like that you're living hypocrisy? Could you imagine, Remso, like the work that we do, like we could literally show up and do the same things that they do and make the same excuses for things and say the same talking points because they've done nothing to advance anything. None of these people are going into, like, the hood in Baltimore and helping out, like, black families and people who actually need help. They're just bitching about, like, some stupid statistic that they pulled up that you can actually, like, debunk if you take a look at, like, women wanting to raise families in, like, different locations in the country and things like that. Like, I'm not saying white privilege doesn't – I literally acknowledged white privilege earlier because that guy, like, nodded off.
I think everyone has biases, but I think it just comes down to where you are in the present opportunities.
Yes.
And, like, in my first book, Stay Away from Libertarians, and, like, the second chapter, I'm talking about – the elitist coastal mindset that has really began to shape the way that politics seem for, middle Americans. I dedicate parts of Marie Harf because Marie Harf is only on Fox every night because of white privilege.
Yes.
She went to a prestigious Virginia school. She got a job at the CIA, literally doing nothing for 2 years. Then she went directly to the State Department and said that ISIS is only around because they don't have good jobs programs and global warming. I'm sorry, Marie, but they live in a fucking desert. It was always shitty. And now she's getting paid way too much fucking money to go talk about shit that she's not qualified to talk about on Fox.
It doesn't matter. She's a pretty face on Fox. Like, look, the booking is not. It's not like rocket science.
The standards are very non-existent.
I've gone off on rants. Did I do it on Sirius XM? I might have done it on Sirius XM once. I've gone off. Maybe also when I used to do the podcast with that Never Trumper at Washington Times. I've gone off on rants about how there are incredibly intelligent, hardworking women in this town that get looked over every fucking day. And
in Marie Harf's defense, the only compliment I'll give her, she's not hard to look at. Yeah. We can go ahead and address that elephant. A lot of women who are getting put on TV, and a lot of men, like, listen, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Work with what you got.
I was told, by the way, that some networks are afraid of me because they don't. That I'm like I'm a kind of a loose cannon. They're not sure what I'll say on air. I know that.
Do they say that as a compliment or as a negative?
50-50. Obviously, they don't want the ratings. But like you watch a lot of these shows and it's the same clowns saying the same things all the time. Like the host will be like, "Hey, Donald Trump did XYZ," and then like the commentator will be like, "Donald Trump did XYZ," and then the other person will be like,
"Man bad."
I don't. Yeah, that's what the other guy says, and then it'll be like, "But Donald Trump did XYZ," and it's like literally the same thing back and forth. And I'm like, this is.
It's just Pong, but with faces.
How do these channels get ratings other than like dead people, old people die, and become dead people in front of the TVs, and the TV just stays on? I think that's how it works.
It's got to be something like that. I think, and I think the pandemic has shown us something more clearly. We're past the point of denial. We're addicted to outrage. Plain and simple. We love the fight. It's like when you go on social media, your lizard brain comes out, and every instinct is telling you, call that person a Nazi, yell at this person, say they're bought out by Soros. This is what I love about being a libertarian, Tim. Yeah. And I know that you're not fond of my, on the spectrum people, but everyone hates us. Everyone does. I'm called a leftist almost as much as I'm called a crazy right winger. And it just comes down to the point where people just like to fight because they feel that justifies their existence. If they're not openly antagonistic about every little thing, they have no reason to exist.
But okay, listen, libertarian.
Preach.
Joe Jorgensen. Yeah.
I'm not voting for him. I'm voting for Kanye. He's on the ballot in Virginia.
That's who you should have fucking got as your candidate. The libertarians should have done outreach. Did you ever see the night that I had a little bit too much to drink and I posted something that I probably shouldn't have posted about the Libertarian Party?
Which night?
I posted one thing once that one of the people who is traveling around with Joe Jorgensen right now was like, "Would you ever consider running for president?" And I go, like 20 years from now. Like 20 years from now, maybe, like if I'm bored. And they were like, would you consider maybe being the Libertarian nominee? And I go, fuck no.
They would take O.J. Simpson if he showed up.
I could have had a bus with my face on the side and a staff. I could have had a bus with my face on the side.
You could still do that.
Probably. They'd probably flip out Joe Jorgensen. Get the fuck out of here.
I think Kanye is going to do more to make people question our institutions than anyone else. And I mean, I don't like talking shit about people I've never had direct contact with. I've never met this woman. And in my defense,
I'm not talking shit about her, but she's Joe Jorgensen. What did she do before?
A lot of their people who were running for president this year. I wrote the fucking book on the history of the modern libertarian movement from 1990 to 2016.
You're a libertarian celebrity. I mean, it's not a big reach, but listen, I want you to.
12 people think.
Here's the thing. I am glad that you have, number one, you're a normal human being that's a libertarian, which is like...
I'm so glad we caught that on record. Somebody said it.
Like, I've met so many who are like just constantly smoking weed, and I'm not even making that up, or like talking about their weird sex things. Like, I don't understand. Like, they're always weirdos. You're not a weirdo, and like you should have been the nominee. Are you 35? No. Well, when you turn 35, I swear to God, Remso, you should.
Don't wish that evil upon me, Ricky Bobby. Don't do that.
So I went to Minot, North Dakota.
What was that like? That was after Mission.
I met the woman I'm dating right now in Minot, North Dakota.
Oh, nice. Is she still there?
Her family has a farm there, and she lives in Minnesota.
Did you kidnap her off the reservation?
No. So I was her
Good
first
white man.
date. She's been through a lot, but I was her first date in a while, and she's like, whatever. And I was like, I'll be honest with you. I was like, you can Google me or whatever. But like, she just seemed like a normal human. I was like, you can Google me or whatever.
God, you make it sound like you're Mia Khalifa on a first date. I want to be upfront with you.
Is she still around?
As a sports commentator.
One of my favorite stops, by the way, was hanging out with a porn star in Jacksonville, Florida. But I mean,
we got to get to that. You're in Mission now. No, you're in Minot.
I'm in Minot, North Dakota. And I was like, look, there's nothing to do here. There's a couple of really good places. There's a really good coffee shop. So when people go to work in Minot, North Dakota, like corporations pay a lot of money. So the manager at the Starbucks was making like $150,000 a year or something like that. And she started her own coffee shop and floral place. And like, God, I want to go back to Minot because this chick is awesome. Like, she was just like a boss. She was like an Austin hipster that had a coffee shop and like really made a business. And her business did not falter because, and this isn't the girl that I went out with, but her business didn't falter because she had bougie coffee in town and the only bougie coffee in town. And so she would deliver it to hospitals. And she kept her business up by doing like delivery to all of the hospitals anyway. So like, that chick is a fucking badass. Like, that's the kind of person I want to hear from on TV.
Those are the people building America.
Yes, 1,000%.
Genuinely.
But this chick was like, I was talking to her for a bit, and I was like, look, I'm bored to death. There's nothing to do in town. There's one like kind of bougie like burger place where they have like elk burgers and moose burgers and stuff like that.
They're always overpriced and they never taste as good.
They don't. But like, so we got together and we just hung out and we had a good time. Nothing happened. We just had like a great time hanging out and traveled town a little bit. And she came to the hotel where like there was like a fireplace in the front. Nobody was there. And like, actually the manager of the hotel recognized me, which is very bizarre, because her husband's a super conservative and stuff. And we just had a good time and we kept seeing each other. And that's who I ended up going to see in Minnesota when all of the riots happened. I was there when all the riots broke loose for George Floyd in Minneapolis. And so I was there to see her. So like, it was a really cool, I met a really good person that's like been through a lot, and
you wouldn't have had that opportunity if you just hadn't gone out of, if you had not chosen to leave your comfort zone and just do something completely random.
Yes.
And was the intention just to drive around until you feel like you've naturally met the end of your journey, or what were you trying to find?
Nothing. I was just having a good time. I want to go knock out the lower 48. And then I had the governor of Alaska on Sirius XM last week, and I'm working out my trip to go to Alaska. So I need to knock out Alaska and Hawaii. I have no desire to go to Hawaii at all. I don't care about beaches. I'm not a beach person.
Oahu's overrated. I
could care less about it, but I want to do Alaska, and I want to do like a big flying around thing. But anyway, so I did Minot, and I came back down, and I did I loved Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska was given a middle finger to everything with all the COVID shutdowns. They were wide open in downtown Omaha with like the coolest.
Don't they have like 20 people though?
Yeah, but the state was supposed to be shut down. Omaha was like FU, and like all these businesses were open, and it was like one of the best places I stopped in before going back to I think I went to Wichita, Kansas, and I hung out with the head of a oil and gas company, like this billionaire executive at one of his gas stations. He's doing this new ethanol gas station where ethanol, you can apparently have up to 50% ethanol in gas, and it actually it burns cleaner and it burns more efficiently.
Yeah, the problem is that for most engines, it'll totally kill your engine.
Not true. Cleans it. There's no study.
Okay, explain to me. Break it down.
So
stupid.
it's like big pharma. There's big petroleum, and apparently it's untrue, and they've been trying to keep this guy out. So he was an executive for one of the big ones. I don't want to say which one and be wrong. And he went through everything. He showed me all the science. He showed me all the studies. We hung out. We were sitting at a gas pump, going through studies and stuff. Literally sitting on the side of the road, just having a good old conversation. I sat there for 3 hours with this guy. It was remarkable, absolutely a remarkable time. So then continued down, came back down to Austin. No, sorry, came back down to Dallas, where my friend who I went to law school with, my lawyer, who's one of my great friends, and her husband is a heart surgeon. Like, they are the, like, epitome of, like, the most American awesome family. They have 4 kids. They're wonderful. And they were like, why are you going home? Stay here for, like, 2 more weeks or something like that. So I go drop off my car.
You're back in Texas, or
I'm back in Texas. I come back down to Texas. I'm just skipping around because there's lots of bits and pieces. So I go and deliver the rental car in Austin, then get on a Amtrak train to go up to Dallas to go stay with my friends who live in a part of Dallas, kind of a wealthier part of Dallas, because she's an attorney and he's a heart surgeon. They have a spare room. They're like, why would you go back to D.C.? It's all locked down. Why don't you stay here? And I go, well, how long am I supposed to stay here? They're like, just do like a week and a half to see what happens. So I stay there for a week and a half, and they're like convincing me to stay in Texas. And in the middle of it, I'm like, I don't want to like take advantage of this, but like, oh, I have a friend in Los Angeles that lives on Hollywood Boulevard. Why don't I go there? The flight is $50. So no brainer. I hop on a flight to Los Angeles from Dallas. Go over, hang out with my buddy who lives on Hollywood Boulevard. We walk.
I gotta stop you because this is one thing that just blew my fucking mind. You're going to some pretty, heavily visited airports. The photos and the videos you took, you were like the only one there in half those terminals.
Yeah.
How creepy is that? Because that's something you would only think in like that, like in horror films or that movie of Tom Hanks' Terminal where he's like living in the airport for years. At least he had people.
I got to be honest with you, it's a dream of mine because I love empty places. Like, I get to go see everything with nobody there. Like, I get to go around and nobody's there. And now, like, you go to airports and there are literally people wearing hazmat suits because they've lost their fucking minds. Yes. There are. I actually asked the other day when I was flying through Dallas again, actually. I said, hey, how many people have you seen in hazmat suits? And the lady goes, at least 2 a week.
These are just people wanting to go fly.
Yes. That are in hazmat suits.
If you have to wear a hazmat suit to go fly,
live in your basement.
Yeah, and like unless like grandma is dying,
at what
like
point
come on.
At what point are you so afraid that it's just like, just kill yourself? Like, I don't want to be like negative about this stuff, but like
how many people? I don't think we're going to see this regardless as to what happens, because I don't think Trump or Biden, regardless of who ends up being or staying president, and I think it's going to be Trump. But like, I don't think anyone wants to be the president that says because of this. I personally believe potentially millions of Americans killed themselves. We just will never record. No one wanted to record that.
Oh, yeah. But
I know 2 people. I genuinely know 2 people within the last 4 months who killed themselves.
I know one last week. Yeah. And it's like they're living in fear and then they've lost everything. I mean, like, what combo? Like, it's awful. But these people and like these idiots who wear these hazmat suits don't make things any better. Listen, motherfuckers, you have a immune system. Like, that's the thing. Like, it will.
This whole thing went from flatten the curve to no one can get sick anymore.
Yes,
that's all it's come to.
Mm-hmm. And if you actually look at the real scientific studies on masks, they don't work, and they actually increase the opportunity for you to touch your face.
Well, I mean, also if you're that paranoid, then isn't there like a? I can think of very few places worse to be than a giant canned fart machine in the air.
Yep. Which, by the way, first class when you're drunk is fantastic.
I can imagine.
They give you a little cheese board.
I wouldn't know. I'm usually near the bathroom.
Me too, but like there's... They give me a little cheese board. It's very nice. They don't do that on Southwest. Also, I saw a guy get pulled off the plane in Dallas for bringing his own mini bottles and drinking it on a plane. And like the cops were harassing him. I'm like, really? Like,
there are worse things. There are people walking without masks they can go harass.
You apparently can't drink on planes anymore at all unless it's like offered by the airline. People used to take drinks on all the time. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, like the duty-free shops at like Dulles, for example. All you need to do is quickly find the person who has an international boarding pass, give them $5 to switch passes with you for 5 minutes, then you go buy a bottle, put it in your your carry-on, and then you're good.
Nobody ever checks.
No one ever checks. Because they know it's a scam. It's not worth enforcing.
No.
It's like carrying food into movie theaters.
That's true. You threw me off, though, Remso, there for a second. No,
you're back in Texas.
By the way, here's the thing. One of my flights, in the middle of all these flights, by the way, I'm about to be something or other on. Like, I'm like platinum, gold, A-list, whatever on all these things.
All those miles, yo.
One of them, I was wearing my American flag bandana because I'm required to, and the flight attendant was like, fuck these stupid mask orders, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Did they give you the bandana?
No, time out. So I was like, yeah, what, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why would you think that it was okay for you to say that to me? And she goes, you're wearing an American flag. And I'm like, okay, perfect. So then we had a great conversation and whatever. But like, so I fly into Los Angeles and we walk Hollywood Boulevard, and Hollywood Boulevard is a dead zone. Like it's just homeless people, and that's it, literally on Hollywood Boulevard. The one thing I regret on that trip was not taking a picture of the guy smoking crack on Jimmy Kimmel's steps.
That would have gotten so viral. Okay, the one thing I loved from this specific part of your trip, what was the beach you were going to?
Oh, we went to Venice.
Yeah, you went to Venice Beach, and you're going to one of the public restrooms. Oh my God!
Yo, it's a shithole.
In the full year I was at the Times, I was responsible for maybe 3 or 4 viral pieces. When I put up that clip, and it wasn't even the one of you actually looking in. I posted that afterwards, but I posted a preview of you basically saying they've got restrictions here, and they're telling people not to do this, and look at where I'm at. As soon as you open the door, that's where I cut the video off. People freaked the fuck out. They're like, he's gonna find a dead body and all this other stuff. It was hilarious just to see what people assumed was going to be in there. Then when they actually saw it reminded me of that scene from Daddy Daycare where Eddie Murphy, he pokes his head in the bathroom and he's looking around. You don't see anything, but you just see his face and you just assume there's like shit on the ceiling and everything else. That was gold.
Awful.
Yeah.
It was rotten.
What was the smell like?
Oh, it's like a bathroom on fucking Venice Beach. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's like human feces, but like, yeah, I didn't realize like what homeless people smelled like until I blew a knee out. When I talking about going back to the conversation we had like an hour ago about blowing a knee out, and I had like a soft cast on my leg, and I didn't go to the bathroom all the time, and so like you didn't get to bathe yourself as much. Mm-hmm. Homeless people smell like rotten balls. Anyway, that being said, that's part of the smell that contributes to. I know that from myself. That's part of the smell that contributes to the bathrooms at Venice Beach. But so, I mean, I did take pictures, and it went viral, of the homeless guy passed out across the street from Adam Schiff's office. And there was a cop like 20 feet away, and I go, is there anything we can do about this? And he's like, no, of course not. And so, like, that's L.A., that's Hollywood for you. So, did L.A. and Hollywood, you just see dead homeless people all over the place. There was a guy that looked like he literally had a leprosy next to like Man's Chinese Theater or whatever they call it.
Somebody, I think it was I forgot who it was. It was some Fox reporter. They were going through L.A. and San Francisco, and they basically equated like the bands of homeless people who apparently during this whole pandemic have all just rushed over to California for God knows what reason. They're equating it to like Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
You just see them and you look at their eyes and there's just nothing there.
The original Gold's Gym has like a whole homeless encampment around it, like right off of Venice. Like really nice areas. Just
did they close that down too during this whole thing?
Yeah, of course they did. And like Muscle Beach was shut down too because you don't want to work out in this. It would be terrible to get vitamin D and exercise. You know, why would you want that?
Fresh air, little things.
Why would you want that? Also, I went to the skate park in Venice where they had pushed all of the sand in it.
Oh, that was the most retarded thing that I remember seeing. That angered me more than just the homeless people asleep on the street. It's like,
yes,
we're finding literal ways, and this is why I'm a libertarian, Tim. It's because if government can find a way to go out of their way to piss people off, left, right, in between, whatever, they go out of their way just to spite people.
Yes,
it's the machine itself.
Yeah,
and when I saw the photos of you know, taking photos of what was inside the skate park, it's like mounds of sand. It just made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're taking the small thing that people like. It's like, obviously, if they're skateboarding, they're freaking social distancing. Like, my God. You're telling people they can go protest and riot in the streets, but you want kids to get out of the house because you kicked them out of school and everything else, and you won't let them go skateboard? Mm-hmm. Because that just makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the worst. I mean, I don't want to diss your thing, but then I got on a train to go north on Amtrak because I got on. So like there was literally nobody at the station in Los Angeles, the Amtrak station, to go north, and like every old person I know said you should ride the train on the California.
That was your first time doing that, right? That's a beautiful ride.
Have you done it?
One time years ago.
So you should have done it during the pandemic, even though you were busy working a thankless job where you made no money. At the Washington Times, where they got PPE loans but couldn't give you your full salary yet. I don't know. I just assume. I don't know anything from you personally, but I just assume. So
the ride seemed nice.
It was great. So I got on this train, and by the way, it was like I went to Vancouver, Washington from Los Angeles. I did not pack appropriately. I didn't take enough food with me, so I ended up eating like microwaved vegan burgers. So on this trip, I actually got recognized.
Oh, the estrogen levels must have been so high in those.
I was lactating. And so on this trip, I took a fancy bottle of bourbon with me, and it was gorgeous, right? So you see like dolphins and shit, and you got mountains on one side and then the coast on the other side. And I got recognized by the guy in the whatever cafe car, and the conductor and stuff.
The car with all the food and shit.
Yeah, and the conductor and stuff, and they were chill as shit. And so you're not supposed to bring alcohol on trains with you. We'll just pretend this story's not real. But like I just ended up drinking with the staff. Like they were like, because nobody was on the train. So like I'm hanging out with the conductor at some point, and he's like, "Where's your computer bag?" Because I saw you came out with a computer bag. And I go, "Oh, it's on my seat." He goes, "Go get that shit right now." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "The only people on the train right now are like you, one other family, a couple of Amish people, and all and vagrants and prisoners who have nothing else to do with their day." Like, California has literally just like given these people a ticket to get the fuck out of California.
The fact that the Amish are like, you know what, it's the end of the world, take a train, eh?
I'm gonna be real honest with you.
The Amish are my favorite cult. They just don't bother people.
They don't, but like, do they make their own deodorant? Like, what's their?
They don't believe in that shit. The world ended in the 1800s.
They smell so bad. Like, I'm sure they're great people.
Well, I prefer Mennonites because they drive trucks and, own puppy mills. But at least they bathe.
Listen, I guess, I can't tell the difference.
If I have to rank my cults,
I'm ignorant.
Amish, Scientologists, Mormonism, Islam.
Okay. Mormons
I love everybody who listens to this show.
Mormons are kind of hot.
The BYU chicks, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
You ever been, so their thing at like, so I've spent a lot of time at like, when I went out, I performed at Sundance. And when I went out there for that Sundance Film Festival years ago, I went to like Temple Square. I hung out with my friend who's a direct descendant of Brigham Young, and they've got a big mansion in the hills there in Salt Lake.
One of the many descendants.
Yeah. But they like have like his furniture, including his what would they call it, the toilet seat that they had, like the wood chair with like the hole in it. They had his pooper in his house.
We'll call it that.
And they had a theater room and everything. Like they're and like they were like part of, like their grandfather was an apostle, all the stuff in the Mormon Church. And so I did Temple Square, I did the genealogy library and all that stuff. I spent like 7 hours there one day. And so I learned this about the Mormons. If you go to Temple Square, if you go to any of the, like, I've been to all of their like tourist destinations. So I did like Zion, where they say that God's going to come back and build the temple when he comes back, like when things happen in the Garden of Eden. It's outside of Kansas City.
Isn't it like just an open field though?
It's very small.
It's like nothing there.
Yeah, but he's going to build it because he's going to build it.
Man, I'm sorry. The whole thing just
he's going to build it, Remso. You hater.
You just can't tell me that Jesus retired in America and he hates Indians.
Great story.
Speaking of cults, and what was
I'm not finished. Hold on. Don't get
shit. This
cults.
keeps going. Keep going.
So I spent time at these places. Like, this is going to be 8 hours long. So I've been waiting to vent to someone, Remso, and you're the person. No, so like they send, so part of their...
Welcome to the Remso Martinez experience. You want to do DMT?
Yeah. One of their big things, and I learned this from my friend who was like, oh, no, you're not.
You want half?
No, I don't want any of that. So one of my friends...
I've had worse.
One of my friends who is part of the family that I stayed with told me all about this, and his parents confirmed it. So like at these like tourist spots, as you pour your Jim Beam Coke and...
I've had much worse things. This is not terrible.
So they send their like hot single girls to give the tours at these.
That's how they recruit.
Like,
it's honeypotting.
It's honeypotting, but it's honeypotting in Salt Lake City for the guys who have not gotten married at a certain age.
Oh,
that's what I was told. And so I went there, and I did a bit on this. I was never invited back.
I wonder why.
My tour guides were like, I guess we can't convert this guy. So my tour guides were like, stop drinking. Make sure you swallow. It was like Rosie O'Donnell on a garden gnome were my tour guides of Temple Square. But like the rest of them were all these like super hot blondes. And I'm like, holy crap. And so that's apparently the thing. They bring the girls there. The girls can only go on like certain mission trips, and they're like tour guides. The guys go out in the field. But like, so I don't know how we got to that Mormon stuff. But so I took the coast. It was gorgeous going up the coast, and I ended up in Portland before it burned to the ground, and Vancouver, Washington, which is like basically Republican across the water from. I'm surprised they don't like raise the bridge. There's a bridge, bridges that
just look across Portland, like this isn't happening anymore. Just kill it.
My friends who are all Republican in Vancouver, Washington, were like watching Portland burn. And even when I went to Portland,
they're loading their guns as they're watching.
I went to a place in Portland. I don't think I talked about this on any of the videos I did for you. I went to like Scientology Tacos. It was like a taco truck that had all these Scientology.
Say that name again.
It's not called Scientology Tacos.
Okay.
It was like a taco truck. It was the best tacos I've had in a while. They actually let me sit there. You're not supposed to be able to sit anywhere in Portland because they they freak out about
because the COVID.
Yeah, because of the COVID. Because if you sit around in heat, then you're, I don't give a fuck. Anyway, but I went to this place, and it was the best tacos I've ever had. Nicest guy in the world. Scientologist. He had pamphlets for staying healthy by the Church of Scientology all over the place. So I went to like Scientology Tacos in the middle of Portland. I don't care. It's great tacos. Look, again, if I'm going to believe something, you make me make a choice between Mormonism and Scientology.
Scientology.
Yeah.
Speaking of fringe beliefs, what was crazy about your trip is like everywhere, every person you encountered had something to do with what was popular in pop culture. And I've been splitting this whole pandemic into phases. You left right around the Tiger King phase.
I went to the Tiger King Park before.
What was that like?
Before it got handed over to Carol Baskin.
That lying bitch. What was that like? You got to meet the guy that bought it from Joe.
Jeff or something like that. What's his name?
The guy who
wears
basically
the Harley Davidson jackets.
Yeah, him and his wife are swingers, and they would use. His
wife's awesome. She was feeding leftover Wendy's salad to one of the monkeys when I was there. There was like nobody there.
I'm so glad that's the most real show we've ever seen.
So on the table behind you, somewhere back over there, I bought vials of like lion and tiger hair. I brought it back. I guess I don't know why I thought it was a good idea.
Did you buy it from them?
Yes. Because they didn't have T-shirts at the time, I guess. So they had like stuffed animals and stuff, and then they had like lion and tiger hair vials for $5, and I bought like 5 of them. I was like, I'm going to bring back people.
Not to get too much into the Joe Exotic thing.
Yeah.
I think he should have gone to jail for many of the things he did.
Yeah.
But the whole setting him up to hire a hitman to kill Carol Baskin thing, and everyone admits it. The feds admit it. Jeff, what's his name, admits it. That was a setup.
Was it Jeff? Is that his name?
I think it's Jeff.
So, like, I talked to him for a while. There was, like, nobody there. It was $15 to get in. I was just going to go take a picture because Oklahoma has, like, state signs, like, on the highway, GW Exotic Park, and I'm like, get the fuck out. And so I went.
Had you seen the show before you went there? Okay, so you were aware of all of it.
Yeah, I was a big Joe Exotic fan. I mean, I have to ignore the fact that he groomed young boys to hang out with, but like,
hey man, you give people enough lions, tigers, and meth, and they will suck dick. He proved it.
And then he nailed that woman in the front, got her pregnant. That one guy. But like,
well, he has new teeth now, so things worked out. And he wears shirts.
I'll be real with you. The Joe Exotic Park, GW Exotic Park, made me like lose faith in zoos, and I think zoos should be closed because you walk up to these cats who have very clearly been domesticated, and they roll over like domestic cats that want to have their bellies rubbed. It's the saddest fucking thing.
I agree with you. When I lived in Australia, I saw 2 examples of what a zoo should be like if you're going to have one, and what it shouldn't be like. I went to Steve Irwin's zoo when he was still alive.
Yeah.
And I saw him wrestle a crocodile, and it was one of the most beautiful things, and the staff there loved what they were doing, and the animals, they seemed alive. Like, that's the thing. They had their spirit with them. I went to this place. My dad was part of an Army officer exchange program, so they sent an Australian over here, and they sent us over there. And it was in the mountains of this area in Queensland called Canungra. And Canungra, outside of Kokoda Barracks, where he was stationed, they had a Canungra Zoo. And I swear to God, I've never seen, like, it was like something out of, like, Caracas during the last years of Maduro, where it's like you can't see any of the animals, so you're wondering, like, are they hiding? And the ones you do see are, like, ultimately depressed or dead. I've never seen so many dead animals in my life. Yeah. And I walked out of there, having already been to the Australia Zoo, seeing Steve Irwin do awesome shit, and I'm like, there's got to be... This is where my non-libertarian comes out. There have to be some fucking standards for when you have these wild animals that should not be caged, and you're going to treat them like this. Yeah. And, I mean, Carol Baskin, I don't know whether it was the bot, because every documentary, no matter how objective they try and be, there's always a bias in how they do it. You understand this. Yeah. Whether they were trying to make Joe look good or bad or not, everyone saw Carol Baskin's shit. And she's got cages and cages and cages.
And she says the tiger shouldn't be in cages.
That lying bitch. And now she owns the zoo?
Yeah, it was awarded to her by the court, I think, because of whatever was going on. But yeah, no, it's crazy.
Okay, quick question. Do you think she killed her husband?
Yeah, I think everybody does.
Everyone thinks. That and Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
Yeah.
After that, you went to Waco. And this is in the Waco phase. And this is crazy because that show came out like 4 or 5 years ago, and only now it's popular.
Apparently, a lot of people told me, a lot of people reached out to me after I went to Waco. By the way, this is before I went up the coast in California, which was kind of like tame compared to this. A lot of people told me I should have just gone in and said hi. Because apparently the Wacoans or whatever, the...
Branch Davidians?
Yeah, are very nice.
I lived in Killeen, Texas, which is 30 minutes outside of Waco.
I'm freaked out by that stuff. I don't want to go talk to them.
They're normal. You if you go into town, like a lot of them now live in the town of Waco, you would never know what their beliefs were. You'd think they were some offhand Christian denomination, but yeah.
This is one of those things that, like, you yelled at me and everybody else yelled at me about taking notes. I forgot about going to the Branch Davidian compound. I did
every clip of that is not in the cult stuff. I'm not going in there. Not going in there. No.
Yeah. Turns out I should have.
If you had gone in, did you actually get a chance to, did you get out of the car at all?
No.
Okay, if you had gotten out of the car, and I know this based off people I know that went there, you could actually go to the compound that was burnt down by the ATF.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I should have gone. I'll go next time I'm there. I'll be there again.
They're not leaving anytime soon. They're staying.
I'll probably take a thing up there. By the way, I should have brought down for you. I forgot we were going to talk about this. I have a burned up. So when I went to Minneapolis.
Oh, this is okay. If you write a book about this, this has to be on the cover.
I have the burned up
Funko Pop.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, hold on. Just you fill the void. I'm going to go get this for you.
Okay. So I mean, Tim has gotten to the point where he's gone through the Tiger King phase, and now we're in the Waco phase. I mean, it was so funny because one minute everyone's looking at this dude and his friends and family, and they're just thinking this shit can't be real. And then, like, my most apathetic political friends on Facebook are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they killed those people." And then, like, after watching all 7 episodes, fuck the ATF. Now we're in the riot phase, and this, oh my gosh. This is so fucking crazy. And it has, oh my gosh, this was Simba. This is the Simba Funko Pop. This was my favorite thing I ever posted to the Washington Times Instagram. And it is even more depressing seeing it in front of me.
Oh, it's the worst. No, that's like that's I'm going to eventually
put that in like a glass baseball box or something. Mm-hmm. But my God, that is from the GameStop that they burnt down in Minneapolis.
Yes.
Yep. Did you just walked in and took it?
I did.
Well, it's not stealing; it's destroying.
So here's the thing: it was in. I did not walk into the GameStop because they had a bunch more actually. That was in the window still, and I realized that I could reach in through the gate or whatever the security thing and pull it out. I was getting yelled at by all of the protesters or rioters or whoever that were around. They were like, white motherfucker, get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to grab a quick thing and get out of here. But yeah, that was, I forget that I have that sometimes. But that's a really cool piece. So like
that's like 2020 in one physical item.
And I just think it's one of those things that like you put it in a box. Like a lot of people have like pieces from the Berlin Wall that crumbled, and that's from the GameStop in, I believe it was St. Paul, where all of the rioting, like it was Minneapolis and St. Paul, and that was in a part of St. Paul, literally the day after the first night of riots. And it was in a shopping center where I watched a local reporter cry because she lived about 2 miles from there, that had been destroyed by local rioters and stuff like that. And so, yeah, so that's kind of a cool piece that I have to remember the stuff from.
As you were traveling, at what point did you find out about the riots? It seems like everyone was just glued to their TV.
Well, so the George Floyd thing happened as soon as I got into Minnesota. And as soon as I got into Minneapolis. And the riots were literally the second night I was in Minneapolis. So local TV had it on. Like, that was like, it was there. And, I was talking about some of the people that I don't work for anymore were like, hey, do you want to go down and get some, like, exclusive footage for us? And I was like, hey, you want to pay me more? And they were like, no. And I was like, well, guess what? That
Swerve, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell me, what's the worst feeling? Knowing that you're in a city that's not your own, knowing that there's riots going on, or knowing that you're watching TV of your home, D.C., knowing that there are riots going on and you're not there?
Well, I knew it wasn't close to my place here, so I didn't worry about it. I was more affected by the local people that I knew in Minneapolis, watching their city burn. Because they were like local things. Like they would see something local that they were like, oh my God, that's the whatever.
There's a Chappelle skit he did before he went to South Africa or wherever the fuck he went. And he's making fun of Virginians. And he's like, and growing up in D.C., you always know that Virginians are a little bit different and they don't know how to really behave around you. So, like, whenever something weird's going on, all they have to do is look across the Potomac and just look and think, there's some strange shit going on over there. Do I want to find out? No.
Yeah.
No. And that's how it kind of was over here, except it started coming into the suburbs. There were a ton of protests, mainly because people were at home and they were bored. I don't think they would have ever done shit otherwise.
Yeah.
But what just killed me, and I mean, when I went to Alabama, went to a military school there, Alabama Guard there, came back to Virginia, and as soon as I got here, like within like a week of moving back, I started working in D.C. And this was really the first time I was ever part of D.C. And I've only really been working here since. And one of my favorite internships was at the American Conservative. I was an editorial assistant there. I did the social media for a little bit.
American Conservative Union?
No, the American Conservative magazine, TAC. Yeah, it's on K Street near Lafayette, and I'm sorry, West Farragut. And on K Street, there was this dude who owned a falafel stand. He was Lebanese, came to the United States with nothing, was supporting his family back overseas, and he had basically saved enough money from selling falafels and other stuff to open up 3 other stands and start a small franchise throughout the city. And a bunch of white liberal activists during the riots flipped over his stand on K Street and set it on fire.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's like the worst garbage.
They just completely took this man who is the type of person you want in America.
Yeah.
And they destroyed his livelihood.
That's awful.
And that was the moment for me. It felt like, oh shit, now this is personal.
Yeah. That's insane. That was my roommate walking down the steps, by the way, right now, just walking out of the place.
And, I mean, it felt so strange because it's like, yeah, there's a distance, but it felt close for once.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how it was for so many millions of Americans who were directly affected by this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's insane. I don't know.
What was it like as you were driving around the city?
Oh, dude, when you see the National Guard riding around a city and you can smell the smoke and you see, like, fire, like, coming up in places. It's there's nothing like it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm called into this kind of stuff because I've been through a lot of stuff. I've experienced a lot of things in my life that, like I am with Baltimore and a bunch of like I was trained as a public defender at the University of Baltimore law, and I think I've seen a lot of dark stuff in my life. So like this is just kind of, when I went to Thailand years ago was when the red shirts had their upheaval or whatever. Remember that back in the day?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Burn the mall or something like that. But anyway, it went through military checkpoints to get into Thailand when I was there. It was crazy when we were driving along. They were like, "Oh, it's a white guy. It's fine. Let him go." White privilege. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of stuff, and at this point, maybe I'm just kind of growing cold to it. But what affects me is when other people are hurt by seeing it, and that's what I saw a lot of in Minnesota. It was just crazy.
Well, I feel like, and correct me if you think differently on this. Part of me wants to think that if this was not an election year, there would be a lot more sympathy towards the victims of these riots.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, no, there's more. Hold on. So I leave Minnesota and I go back to Dallas. Then I go over to Alabama, where I hang out with the WWE guys. They made the clothing.
By the way, the only times I ever watched the Chad Prather show was when you were on there. Now I'm
really?
hooked. Now I'm hooked.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I knew he was there. I liked watching The Blaze, and then I knew people who went from CR Conservative Review who then got absorbed by The Blaze.
I did 14 hours of Blaze programming when I was there.
That was crazy. That was the first time in years. Ever since they got pulled from Verizon, I stopped watching.
I did Prather show twice. And then I did the News and Why It Matters. I don't even know how many times. They just had me on there. And then I was on the News and Why It Matters when Josh Hammer, who's the editor of Newsweek, was on. And apparently he had COVID. And so we got a phone call that he had COVID and we were exposed to it. I never got it.
If you didn't catch COVID at CPAC, you weren't going to catch it there.
I was literally next to it. He was very sweaty and looked sick when he was on set. And then the CEO of The Blaze called and was like, "Hey, you were exposed to somebody with COVID." And he didn't tell anybody until later. I'm like, that's kind of honestly, if you find out, so it's sort of like having an STD and sleeping with somebody and then you find out you have the STD and you don't tell them. It's kind of a bullshit move, right? Especially
in California, if you have AIDS, you don't have to tell the person you're about to have intercourse with that you have AIDS, even though by most laws you have to.
Let's just go on basic respect, right? Basic respect.
Yeah.
Forget that. I don't care about California having sex. If you're a conservative and you're hanging out with other people that are talking heads on a show, and it's only a couple of people one time, 3 other people at a table, one of them was pregnant, Sarah Gonzalez, who hosts News and Why It Matters. Why would you not tell them that you had it?
Did he know?
He got tested positive, and then apparently, so we were told. We all got a generic message from the head of the network that we were on a show or had encountered somebody who had it. We were trying to figure out who it was.
Oh, so process of elimination. You don't have it. She certainly doesn't have it.
I knew Chad didn't have it because Chad got the call. I was like, "Chad, you got it?" He goes, "No, fuck no." Yeah, and so there were a couple of other people who could have been on it. And so I was on a bunch of shows. There was a Libertarian guy, I forget his name. He was awesome, though. Then there was Yaku Buyans, who's amazing, who I may be working on some projects with. He didn't have it. There was Genevieve Collins, who I had a couple of follow-up drinks with, who definitely would have told me if she had it. I did not narrow it down to Josh Hammer until after, he literally said it on Twitter, and I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude? You couldn't fucking tell people. If I had this and I was around people and I found out, I would have told them. I would have been like, 'Hey, sorry, go to get tested.' Come on." It's an integrity thing. I hope he listens to this.
So he knew by the time he was sitting with you both that he had it.
Maybe he knew afterwards or something, but when he was on set, I remember him being sweaty and looking shitty on set. He knew he was sick on set. There's no way he didn't. I just, that got me. I don't know, man. I'll never work for Newsweek now. Whatever. Fuck you. Be respectful of other people. Honestly. Just be respectful of other people. If you're sick, don't show up. That's a thing, right? That's one of the things that everybody knows anyway. If you're feeling shitty,
that's the rub though, and I think that's one of the few positive things that's coming out of COVID, because there were enough times, and it was primarily jobs where I'm working hourly. I've been a cashier, and this is mainly after I graduated from undergrad. I was a cashier. I was a mall cop. I did a lot of random shit.
You were a mall cop?
I was a mall cop. Reston Town Center?
Yeah.
Mall cop there.
Did you ever catch kids doing it there? You ever have to shake them up?
I wish I did, because of the stuff I did see. My first day, there was this cigar shop, and you want to talk about white privilege? All other kids in Fairfax County, where I've grown up most of my life, they all get arrested. All the brown kids, all the foreign kids. If you're a white kid living in Reston or any of those areas and you do something, you get a slap on the wrist. But these kids must have illegally bought some cigars or something, and they don't know how to fucking smoke them. Yeah. They don't know that you need a cutter for it. They basically just light these cigars up and they throw them in a trash can, and then they throw it in a dumpster. I'm doing my orientation. I'm being told what to do, what not to do. And the first call we get is from this guy who's from the Ivory Coast, speaks barely any English. The trash can's on fire. It's on fire. It's on fire. There's fire. So we're just hearing him screaming. We know where he was at. The first thing I see is a dumpster fire.
How old were you as a mall cop? Were you the youngest?
I was 23. I just turned 23. And I was the youngest there. But I got promoted real fast. You know why?
Why?
Because I could read and write in English. I was one of three native English speaking people that were there.
So Paul Blart isn't a thing.
Paul Blart is like Paul Blart Djiboutian style. It's like.
So anyway, Dallas, I'm going to bring this back. So Dallas, Birmingham, and then I went to Pisgah, Alabama in the middle of nowhere, which was fantastic and just great. There was nothing.
I know exactly what you're talking about, too.
It's like you're up on a plateau. It's gorgeous there.
Mm-hmm. But there's nothing.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's a majority of the state.
Yeah, it's great. And then I go over to Orlando, which I hate. I hate Orlando. But I got this rental car. So my rental car north, it was budget rental, I think it was. Yeah. It was like $250 one way for 2 weeks, which is unheard of. Because usually a one-way rental is like $60 a day.
These fucking pandemic rates, man.
Yeah.
It's like when I went around Virginia, I spent probably I stayed at a hotel every night. Spent maybe no more than $200 total.
Yeah.
I'll never get that again.
No. So forget all the other things that happened on the way up the coast. My favorite time was, I have a lot of like cam girls and a lot of porn stars that follow me on Twitter. And one of them and I have become very close friends. And she's like, if you're ever in town, just come visit.
It's like the only nice stories that comes out of. So I befriended a cam girl online.
Yeah. No, we really did not like. So she took me around Jacksonville, and we like played like the Skip-Bo, which is the spinoff to like Uno. We would like play that at night and just drink and hang out. We would go antiquing, and like we went to see her like niece's dance recital that was at this like Oddfellows Hall that had like 700 people there. It had to be 700.
Did you socially distance?
No, fuck no. Nobody gives a shit there.
Especially in Florida. Everyone wants everyone in Florida to die. Too bad that everyone in New York City is basically dead.
Yeah, but like in Florida, it didn't work the same way. And so like she and I literally just like, we just hung out and had a good time. And like, there's pictures. She, I thought this was very interesting. And I tweeted about this. People thought it was a weird tweet that I was like, look, I'm friends with porn stars. Get over it. She had a really funny, stupid picture of me like playing with one of her dogs on her couch. And like all of her entire Twitter account is just porn. Like it's just her like playing with her vagina, which I've told her already. She's a very bad actress. People pay a lot of money. She's not good. Like I've watched her stuff. It's not good. Like I'm glad that she makes more money than me, more money than God. Like she does like great. I'm not saying I'm God, but I'm saying like she makes more money. Yeah. So like she makes really good money and like owns a house and has badass cars and everything you think of. I have told her this. I would never say anything behind people's backs that I typically wouldn't say to their face. She's a terrible actress. And like, I'm like, your stuff is just not believable unless if you've actually had sex with people, you know that your stuff is fake.
That's the thing about porn though. It's not accurate to how normal people actually are.
It's not. But anyway, I give her a hard time on that. But like we went antiquing and we went to her niece's dance recital, which was like these kids that don't, it's like 5-year-olds that don't know how to dance and they're fucking around on stage.
Yeah, they're just trying to build confidence.
Yeah. We like hung out with her family and we did like all this and we played like Skip-Bo and we did all this stuff. It was like the most like of the entire thing.
My entire trip. Movie.
It literally was. And like we went to like these really cool like on the water like eating things. We're not dating. We're not like there's no like whatever. There was no expectations of anything. I'm probably like I hope she listens to this. I'm probably the one guy she knows who doesn't want to like bang her like when we hang out. I know her history and I know the famous guys she's banged now. And like wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But like, look, I love her. She's a great person, but it's just like the people. I'm like, God, no, really. Good for her, living her life. But like, we had the best time. That was like the most wholesome thing. And then the rest of the trip north was just kind of like, I did Savannah, not Charlottesville, Charleston. I always get that screwed up. Charleston was cool because they have these like night herons. They have like a reserve or something where they like show up. Like it's the little. There's like the bear tree. Barracks?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where, like right on the water there? What's it called? I don't know. But it's like they have a reserve for these like night herons to like breed. And like, so you look up and these things are like 3 foot tall. And they're all in the trees and they had their babies and you hear all this like whooping and stuff. And you look up, stop sneezing. Oh my God, Rona. You just spread the Ronas.
I don't have the Rona. Good.
Oh my God.
I've only worn that mask that doesn't.
You wouldn't know. What is it?
Asymptomatic.
Spread, which is like the biggest farce of the whole thing.
You mean I have a working immune system?
But asymptomatic spread is like the biggest farce of the whole thing, by the way, because like they're like, that's already been shot down by every organization, but that's why people wear masks.
A quick question about Charleston.
Yeah.
When you were in Charleston, Charleston, very conservative city, very southern. They are very proud of that. There are liberals that live there. You see any? So this is why I'm happy. This is why I'm happy. Where I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
This is going to calm down a lot of people. My father is.
What is happening? Why?
Bitch, no.
Why is your Alexa going off?
It's not mine. That was yours?
No, that's your phone.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, she just keeps jumping in. Like in Virginia, we've got Virginia Military Institute, which is being attacked because of their ties to Confederacy and stuff. And apparently, like my dad, who's a Citadel grad, was constantly paranoid that you were going to have like bands of Antifa jump into the Citadel in an attempt to like tear the whole thing down. What was it like in Charleston, a city where they literally had open slave markets?
Did they?
They did. Did you go to the well, it's probably closed now, but in the middle of town they've got the Charleston. It used to be called the Charleston Slave Markets. Now it's called the Charleston Open Markets, right around the other end of South of Broad.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, and it was like, when
Some of the best soul food there, though.
it's amazing though. The food in Charleston, and that's the thing though. Like you leave the major northern cities, and the rest of the country is fine. And tell me what you think about this. But in the South, you've got more mixing and mingling of different races than what you have in the Northeast. I'm dead convinced. Racial tensions barely exist in the South.
So here's what I know from my travels just in general. And by the way, I'm looking for this place. Here we go. Martha Lou's Kitchen is where I went in Charleston, South Carolina, before I go any further. And it's the best soul food. They've been around for about 40 years. It's best soul food. I sat down, and the recipes have been in the family for years. And they literally gave me the entire menu because I told them I was putting it on social media anyway. I was like, I'm just doing this on social media. I ate so much food there. Like, I had, like, literally 2 more meals left in the pack that I got from them. They gave me all their sides. They gave me dessert. I hung out with the owner for a while. That's when I was getting sick of the Washington Times not responding to me, so you didn't get all the pieces of that. But, like, I did give you some pieces to advertise with
Eat
them.
for free, son. Take advantage of it.
I wasn't eating for free. I paid.
Oh, okay.
But, like, she brought out, like, dessert and a couple other things that, like, on top of it. I actually went and I had to get cash to pay her. What were you talking about before that? Sorry, my brain went.
No crazy, like, Antifa, BLM
No,
bullshit
nothing.
in Charleston?
Nothing. No. Nope. No. No, you had something else. I was really hot on something right there.
Think.
That's what happens when we talk for 2 hours. You're the worst.
You see no notes.
I know.
I'm tracking it.
It's been good though.
Yeah. So you're in Charleston.
Yeah. No, I
Oh well. Okay. So prior to Florida. So no. I mean, I guess that's one of those interesting things, and I think the one thing that we're definitely seeing now, because in many ways, I think now because everyone is so isolated, they definitely yearn for just basic social interactions.
Yes.
So while I think a lot of people are, self-segregating because a lot of the political bullshit they're seeing, people are now starting to understand once again, like, what true relationships are. Friendships,
Yes.
family.
got a random a tattoo in the middle of Minnesota when things were locked down.
Amidst the riots?
Yeah. Riots. So I went to... we went up into Wisconsin because Wisconsin had just opened up. By the way, when I was in Orlando, we went to a bar the night. It was like, honestly, I literally feel like I was living like history during all this. So we went to a bar in Orlando the day before they closed bars in Florida because of the spike in COVID.
There you go.
So, but also I was in Wisconsin the day that they opened the bars in Wisconsin. So like that wasn't too far before that. And so like I was up in Wisconsin. Where did I go? Osceola, Wisconsin. Gorgeous place. You should take your girlfriend. There's this really gorgeous like waterfall thing that goes through the middle of town. Cute places. There's this bar that's been there for 106 years or something like that. And I was drinking there, and we were talking it up with the bartender. And the bartender's like, "Oh yeah, I do tattoos too." And I was like, "I'm thinking about getting a tattoo to memorialize this trip." And she's like, "You should. Just come to me. I'll do it for like $40." I'm like, "Perfect
deal."
So like I get my tattoo in like a trailer in the middle of Minnesota, and I got the that's the thing I'm showing you now. Like it's an open sign, like a neon open sign, but instead of open it says nope. And that was my tattoo to signify the entire trip that I did.
That is 2020 in a nutshell. That and the fucking Funko Pop, which is it's like its corpse is still just staring at me.
Yeah.
Like I'll share the photo again, but it's just like Simba's eyes are just sunken.
But you know what's crazy? So the crazy thing too about this, so like I went on this trip and like I got all of this stuff, and then
you got a haircut from Shelley Luther. We didn't even bring that up.
We
Yeah,
didn't cover that. And then fucking like Chris Bedford over at the Federalist is like he decides to go on the road. Like they literally so many other.
Oh, he's at the Federalist now. Did he get fired from the collar?
He probably just left. But like all these people tried to steal my idea after I fucking did it, and people were like reaching out to me. They were like, "Oh, look," and like somebody. I have to keep my mouth shut sometimes on Twitter because like somebody was like, "What other reporters on the road or whatever? What other commentators on the road in the middle of like Corona doing this?" I'm like, these motherfuckers over the fucking Federalist. Like, literally took the idea because it was the number one thing. Like, the White House is sharing my stuff. Rand Paul is sharing my stuff. People know that I was out doing this. Like, everybody knew I was out doing this. It's number one thing on social media at the Washington Times at the time. Was it not?
Yeah. Like, that was... I would post... And this just tells you the climate that we're in. We will post things about riots, politics, the pandemic. But what people loved seeing on Instagram and what they like seeing on Facebook and Twitter would just be the regular moments of your trip when you're going up the West Coast in a freaking train.
Well, and that's the thing. So, like, look, these
people were living vicariously through you through this.
The thing is, like, these motherfuckers stole my idea, and I'm very like, it's like, fuck you guys. Like, they're never going to hire me anyway, so fuck you. They take this idea, and I see these articles written by like Bedford, who like does this whole thing on Federalists stealing my idea, and there's all these pictures of him, and like that's not my fucking point of being on the road doing this stuff. Like, my thing is, look, it's about me when it's my comedy, when I'm on stage, when I'm like the performer. But I wanted to tell other people's stories. And that's the one thing. When I told the stories about like all of the people I met with, the piece that was shared by a bunch of people, the original about the whole trip that I took.
The one that kicked it off.
Yes. There wasn't a mention of me. Other than I met with these people, there wasn't a center focus on me. There weren't photos. There weren't fancy photos of me drinking at a bar. There weren't anything. Look, I could have had that. I went to Michelli's in Hollywood, where they opened up. Michelli's is one of it's the original Italian place on Hollywood Boulevard. They
almost went out of business because of this whole thing, didn't they?
Yes, they opened up for me. They may still not make it. They opened up for me. It was me and the owner. They pulled out, like, one of the reasons I'm fat right now is that they pulled out the menu. Like, they had their piano player come in. It was remarkable. Did I take a picture of me at that? No. It was about the place. It's about their story. The shit isn't about me. When I was telling the story, and this is what really, like, again, you can see I'm, like, getting angry about this. I'm changing my, like, body posture on this. Fuck you for making the story about you. You're getting fucking paid to go and enjoy life and go do this stuff. Granted, I was getting the same thing, but I wasn't making the story about me. And that's one of the fucking things that annoys me about reporters now. Is that the story has to be about them. It has to be centered around them. No. The story isn't you. You're the storyteller. Again, like when I'm on stage, when I'm making like the joke, even if you saw my old segments at Fox 5 that I thought were great, that Take Tim to Work, which is where this pilot show goes, where I like travel the country and do things. It's me putting people over. This isn't about me sitting in a bar drinking and yada yada with a fancy photo or a center on me. I want to present their story. And I am like the sidelight. Like, sure, I'm the host of the show. Or sure, I'm the person running the segment. But I want their story to shine through, and it has nothing to do with me other than I'm the person telling the story.
I equate all, and for a lot of people that don't really know this, before I got into social media and into business and everything else, I was a freelance beat reporter. I did commentary journalism because I got picked up to do news for a bunch of right-leaning sites, but I could still put in some of my own commentary as long as I was putting in the work for that. And two of my favorite people ever that made me want to leave politics, professionally and go into media, are Hunter Thompson and Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. Cannot be even farthest from the polar opposites of where I am politically. But with Hunter Thompson, everything goes back to what everyone tries to copy, and I failed at this, in some attempts. Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail 17. I don't know if you could see the sticker from there. Yeah, I fucking love that one. God bless Hunter, even though he didn't believe in God. And Anthony Bourdain. And with Anthony Bourdain, I always equate it to one of his episodes of No Reservations where he goes to West Virginia. And he's dealing with people who are not like him. But unlike many other people, especially when he was at CNN with this, he didn't just set them up to belittle them or berate them or call them white trash. He genuinely treated them like actual people.
Yes. When you're in that position, you're the conduit to tell the story. You're not the fucking story. And so... Sorry, I'm like hot about this. Like, this is like my passion, though, on this thing.
This is a masterclass in commentary journalism, children.
You're not the fucking center of the story. I don't want to see a goddamn picture of you at a fucking bar that you sat around with your friend to make sure you looked as fancy as possible at. I'm talking about Chris Bedford here. I'm never going to work with him again, probably, because of this. I could give a shit. Like, I could give a shit about a lot of people in this town. But that's the problem with this town, is that everybody makes everything about them. It's not about you. This place, that's why Democrats are losing, is because they're in this fucking bubble here. Everything has to be centered about you. Look, you're making your $150, $200 a year. These people are actually like running out of money, and you're making the story about you instead of them. They're the person that needs the help. They're the people that need the idea. That's what Anthony Bourdain nailed. Look, Anthony Bourdain was the conduit. He was there. You watched it because of the production, because of the direction, because of how the story was told. But he did not tell the story about himself. He told the story about other people. And that's like where people lose all of this. And by the way, people should name people in this shit when it happens. That's what I don't like about DC. Like, just fucking call people out for being assholes. Just do it. Like, this town is so fucking pretentious, yet so fucking afraid to tell the truth, to like point things out. Do you know when people reached out to me when the Federalists started doing this? And they were like, look, they're stealing your idea. And I'm like, oh, just fuck them, whatever. Like, my stuff was already shared by XYZ and whatever. And look, I can only be authentic to me, and I can only move forward with my stuff.
It's one thing if they were inspired, but they did it for genuine reasons of wanting to add on to it.
They knew that they weren't, though. They knew that shit was doing well with the Washington Times.
There was no heart in it. No heart in it.
No, it was selfish, and there was no heart. Like, there was my stuff when I sat down. It was overwhelming to me, the stories that people told me and who I got to meet and who I got to sit down with and who I just met at random. There was no goal when I set out. There was no like whatever. I was going to go do whatever and just kind of experience it and see what happened. That first piece that I wrote about my travels and like all the businesses that were worried about closing permanently because of COVID, there was no plan for that. That came organically from just being out. I knew I needed to do something to document it, but I didn't know where it went and like how it came out. And like that's why there weren't photos of me, fancy photos of me sitting in a bar. My God, I got to tell you, if there were going to be like that was the breaking point for me. When I see like pictures of him at a bar, like fancy pictures of him at a bar, like that were very clearly staged to make him look like it was some sort of remarkable moment in history or some horseshit.
You should be honored that I'm here drinking.
Yes.
That's all I got from that.
When I was at Michelli's, again, like here, I was sitting in the seat where Julia Roberts was like yelled at by the elderly manager at the time for making out with a guy like back.
Oh, Lucille Ball fucking went there.
She learned how to toss a pizza there. So like, if you want like dramatic photos, I had people with me there. There was a friend of mine. There was another TV personality that was there. I could have had them take the dramatic pictures. Michelli's is a stunning restaurant. I'm there with the owner. There's a piano player. They brought in their piano player, who's this elderly piano player, to like take requests from us because they kept paying her and she just wants to get out of the house and play songs, right? I could have had that, but it wasn't about me. There isn't like, and I can even in my mind remember the shot. And there was an ex-girlfriend of mine who's actually one of Bernie Sanders' advisors. Look, I actually have friends on the other side of the aisle. We broke up, but whatever. Who told me that it pisses her off when she sees people at events and things with their cell phones out, because you're not really remembering it at that point. You're not experiencing it. You're watching it through a screen.
Did you ever see that movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has a purpose. Your trip. So when I went on my trip around Virginia, it was two things. One, I needed to get out of my house. I was going crazy. Secondly, at that point, I had basically emotionally known that I got to take these vacation days because I think I'm going to end up leaving my job. Of course. So it was all those things kind of combined. And I wanted to just go drive around Virginia. I love this state. I've been throughout the country. I've lived in many places. I love Virginia. It has so much charm to it. I'm culturally a Southerner. And I on the first night of that trip, I was in Petersburg, Virginia, and I rented that movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. And there's this part with Sean Penn where him and Ben Stiller are in Afghanistan. And Ben Stiller's character has been trying to find him because he needs him to replace the photo that Walter Mitty lost at Life magazine. And as Sean Penn, who's traveled all this way to take a photo of the snow leopard just for himself, he sees him get in front of the camera. He's got everything focused, but then he moves away from the camera and he just watches him. And Ben Stiller's like, "What are you doing? Are you going to take the photo?" And he's like, "I could, but I want this moment just for me." There's a lot that could be said about that line because I think with and it's not just I could point at people in the media, I could point at people in politics and everything else. But I think it's become this thing where even though we are more connected now through all these different ways than ever before, we've never found so many ways to make everything about ourselves. Yes. I think when journalists lose that, that's a really harsh thing.
The biggest thing that I did for myself was take that burnt pop vinyl. But I didn't show a picture of myself taking that pop vinyl. I just kind of took it. Like, that's going to be something that's like, sure, we put pictures of it up to like tell the story. That's going to be something that's in my place that I don't like. That's just, I wanted that to remember the experience, to remember the smell, because you can still smell it. If you smell in that box, you can still smell the fire.
Yeah, like methane.
Yeah, it's like there's so much about that to like remember it. But yeah, every story is about journalists make the stories about themselves now. That's why they yell at the White House press briefings. That's why they try to make everything about them. And that's not what it's about. And I think people forget that. That's the one thing. I used to get that compliment a lot from the folks at Fox 5. The news director would call me in a lot and say, "You understand, you see things." Maybe it's because you're kind of an a-hole. You see things the way normal reporters don't anymore, and that they should see it. You can get to the bottom of it. You can bullet point the story, and you know the questions to ask, and you follow up with it. And it's not about you. And that's like the whole thing over and over again. Like this, like all of my commentary, everything I do on social media, that's, again, we were talking about this before, like why like my podcast doesn't do better or whatever else. Like my stuff isn't about me. It's about putting other people over. It's about like, and I'm not saying that you do great on your podcast, good, but like for me, my stuff is about entertaining other people. It's not about making myself famous. It never was. Like I feel great to make people feel good. Like I feel good about myself when I can make other people laugh. And that instant feeling, I miss it from being on stage, and I can't wait to get back on the road. But like, it's the same thing with my writing. Like when I talk about something, it's not to bump myself up. It's to share a story about someone else. I just feel like people don't understand that anymore. They don't get that concept anymore, and it's lost on people. It's one of the reasons that like I met with this production company in Dallas.
Yes, let's talk about the show. Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. So
it's not official yet. We're still in talks to like figure out the numbers and things.
Hopefully, this doesn't jinx anything.
It won't. This is going to happen. Worst case scenario, my friend who's stuck in Kabul, Afghanistan right now, he's Defense Intelligence, is coming back, and he's like, if they don't produce it, I will. He's like, I got extra money. We can make this happen right now. He's a great photographer. So what we're going to do is go on the road, and we're going to basically try to recreate, not necessarily the trip, but just kind of go out and do what I did. And I've done this now. I've done these trips before. I've done like 4 or 5 of these in the past.
Well, all this should have taught you is that there's so much I bet you can think of 5 things where it's like, wow, I didn't know this was happening. I could have seen it. There's so much that could be told. There's so much.
And taking a professional photographer with me and like having this get done, like so. Odds are the show is going to be called Take Tim 2, and then each episode is a different title. And the working one that we're starting with right now, I am not allowed to talk about it, but it would take me to multiple countries and follow the process of something being made. We'll just put it that way, which is very cool. I also think there's going to be a bourbon documentary that comes out of all of this as well. And so, well, because I'm connected with the bourbon industry, and which is very odd as well. Like, I mean, I have a passion for it, but the fact that I have friends that are master distillers and are in the Bourbon Hall of Fame now, just from talking about their product, and they happen to be watching on a live stream. And then we became really good friends. They're like, why don't you come down and whatever? And then they send me things. And like, I mean, this is all very organic. This isn't like forced. A lot of people force things. A lot of people have social media presences because of, I don't know, you're an asshole or you like show your boobs a lot or whatever. I could do that too, I guess, show my boobs. But like, all of this is just very organic, and it's hanging out with people and telling their stories that naturally happen. And, it's been my passion for a very long time, but I had never really honed it down to where this is. And I think you see it in my segments from Fox 5 that I've now ripped and put on my website, because I don't know if they're going to take them down or not, the Take Tim to Work segments, where like I act like a goof, but at the end of the day, in it, you get the full story of what's happening. And so I'm putting people over and I'm making them look like the serious straight man in the middle of me joking around.
I mean, there's a certain ethic to that, and I mean, you're certainly not the first one to try that. I think it's still something that's trying to be done. Yeah, like with Hunter Thompson. I mean, like he did that to excess. He hated people thinking he was Raoul Duke from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He hated that because he had pushed it. If he had just found that sweet spot, he probably could have, been happier about it. He hated it towards the last years of his life. But, the one thing he says in a couple interviews he did with Rolling Stone, but that time he was just writing about sports, they were like, why did you act or do the things you did to, try and get attention? Because it seems like, you're doing the opposite. You're making it about you. And he's like, dude, you got to understand, if I didn't provoke certain situations or if I didn't behave or do things in a certain way, you know what people are really thinking, and you see the truth when they're uncomfortable or they don't know what to make of a situation. And there's a certain ethic to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, you either get it or you don't. Like this is the first time I've really talked about this kind of stuff, and the first time I've ever been on the record actually saying, shit-talking people who make the story about themselves and do that kind of thing. I have a real big passion about this, and the fact that again, on this trip, man, there was a family that contracted me recently to tell their family's story. That's why one of the reasons I went back to Dallas was to work on this project for them and like to write their family story for them. I mean, like that is kind of, and I met these people at a bar on like my trip. These aren't things that like get like told everywhere. They're just like, we think that you're the storyteller who can do this, and they loved it, and they loved it. I just wrapped that project up. That's kind of where I am. Like, look, if I get famous, I don't care. Like, I mean, I have followings on social media and whatever else, but like, I live comfortably. I have roommates that hate me sometimes. There's a guy in the kitchen right now. You might be hearing the microwave. I get to have fun for a living, and I get to tell stories, and I get to show people. It's one thing when you work for the local paper. I think it's kind of like the local paper, but on a bigger scale. So like the local paper, the local papers won't go out of business because they still. Well, I guess if schools are back in. People want to read.
People can start buying the classified sections up again. Local papers will do fine. They'll have to change, but they'll still.
Well, but local papers sell because they like highlight the local athletes and the kids. There's still something to be, have that story told. One of the very first stories I ever wrote, that I probably have a copy of somewhere, was a 2-part.
Quick question: did you start through just straight reporting, or did you do commentary first? What kind of where did things?
So I wrote an op-ed at 14. For the local paper, for the Arbutus Times in Maryland. And then I ended up working for the Arbutus and Catonsville Times, just writing columns about local things that were happening. Like, not like wacky stuff. Like, nothing like crazy. And I think they were paying me like $20 a column or something like that. But I wrote a 2-parter, a biography of this woman who grew up about a half a mile down the street from me in Baltimore Highlands in Maryland. And she was one of the first members of the Peace Corps. And she ended up as like an ambassador to like Belgium or something. It was some crazy thing that like nobody knew about. Grew up in the hood in Baltimore, and I told her story in the local paper. And that was that was a really fun thing. And if you would have told me that like circle back around, you add a little bit of personality to it. That's what I'm doing now, basically. I would have never believed that. I did that when I was in I think law school or grad school or something like that, and Never really thought about it. Like all the other things I could be doing, like there's a lot of people who've wanted me to work on their comm staff. I've been offered crazy comms jobs in DC that I've turned down, like 6-figure comms jobs working for committees and certain executive branches and stuff like that, and I never took them.
If I don't bring it up now, I'm totally going to lose it. But you bring up something which is so important, which is, I think this is why so many commentators. It's very easy to write a piece that is going to do well. The hard thing is building a reputation long term. I think this is a thing that a lot of commentators fail at doing, and I definitely know that I made a lot of these mistakes going on. And I think somebody at the Times told me this, and it was great because I wrote one piece that I only wrote a handful of pieces because I was so busy with other stuff. I was like, if I could do a really good job here, I could still build up my byline portfolio. And they rejected this piece, and I'm glad they did it. They're like, you know what, you're trying to write like Thompson. I already know you're doing it. Like you talk about it all the time. I know this is what you're fucking doing. No one's reading you because they want to read him. He's dead. Right, like yourself.
Got good editorial advice from the Washington Times?
Yeah, I got a ton of good advice.
Never Trumper or somebody else?
Somebody else.
Okay.
But it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, if you can do it genuinely and be consistent with your own style, it will compound over time and it will do better.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me, like when you talk about that and like developing a character or whatever. Like, I very rarely make mistakes on like political things. I know it's like an asshole thing to say, but like it's very interesting. I got something wrong on Twitter 3 or 4 months ago, and some big NPR reporter was the first person to jump on it, and that person doesn't even follow me on Twitter. And I'm like, that's interesting, because I know people are now fucking watching and they're waiting for me to screw up. They might be jealous of my career or what I've done and stuff like that. The thing is, listen, NPR guy, I'm a better reporter than you, and I'm not even trying to be a reporter, so fuck you. But also, no ego there. But it's just interesting to develop. But it's just interesting to develop that character that people, they want to pounce on it because like they feel like it's a victory to get one over on you, even though like you could give a shit who this person is. So like it's just a weird spot to be in. Where were we? Did we end up coming back to Baltimore with all this stuff? So I bookended my trip.
Right, you leave Florida, you're back.
So I was originally going to take a little quick driving trip to Virginia to chill out when all of the COVID restrictions started. And the first place that I went to, because I turned around and came back and started I went to Costco and a few other things to get things just in case things were going to go crazy. When Maryland started shutting down, I sat at the bar at Texas Ribs and Barbecue. I was the last customer at their bar in Clinton, Maryland at 4:59 before they had shut down.
By the way, the fucking catfish there is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even really like seafood. I ate 2 of those things.
And so that was the place that I ended my trip with, and they didn't know it. I came in at a random time, and I was like, I knew it was the end of my trip. And it was 13 and a half weeks I was on the road. And I went back and sat in the exact same seat in the bar, ordered the exact same thing, and I didn't really tell them that. I just had a regular old conversation, and I ended the trip for me. And then I had my birthday party there. But I bookended my trip at Texas Ribs in Clinton, and I said earlier that I got them. I fundraised for them, of course, on my birthday, and they gave me a key to the place, which is
well. You got to tell them about the frame picture they gave you
of Obama. I have it over there behind you, So they gave me the same picture. So they have this frame picture of Obama on their wall, and they actually added me to it. They did a little cutout of me and they put me on it. But they gave me a framed cutout picture of Obama and the staff there, which is, I don't get it. They should have added me to that picture too. I think they want me to do that. I don't know what they want me to do with that. But they gave me that, and they gave me a key to the restaurant, which I thought was kind of awesome on my birthday. And but yeah, that kind of stuff, if you can save one local business, do it. It's kind of crazy to be able to do that. But my little bit of my minor notoriety, I was able to, every time I mentioned them on Fox 5, which I did a lot, they would get a bump. And I actually did a little commercial for them. That Take Tim to Work stuff was essentially commercials for places that I liked, and other things too. But I wasn't getting kickbacks or anything from it. But I did Ben's Chili Bowl and them, and I did one Stilling, which I have a bottle. Oh
man, Ben's Chili Bowl. The fact that they were able, because they almost weren't making it. Yeah. I remember texting you halfway through the whole trip. I'm like, dude, they're on TV right now. They're hurting.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Yeah, you can't anticipate whether or not you're going to have outdoor dining opportunities. You can't anticipate how much extra shit you have to order so you could fulfill delivery and takeout. Like this whole idea that everyone was just prepared, and if you weren't prepared for it, it's your fault. Like it's like all the fucking people online who are like, oh well, their place burned down, they have riot insurance. It's like fucking riot insurance. What?
Well, I mean, they were born out of the race riots in the '60s, right? The Civil War, the segregation stuff. But I mean,
if Ben's Chili Bowl ever went away, that's a real part of the soul of this city.
By the way, they're like conservative there. You know that, right?
Yeah, but they'll never say it.
Like they're friends with all these conservatives that go in there all the time. All these old white guys that go in there all the time.
It was my goal. Okay, here's my thing, and this was always me when I thought I wanted to be eventually like a big commentator one day. Now I'm glad I'm not doing that. I like my own corner of the world. I wanted to be on the list they have on the soda fountain machine there, where it's like the people who can eat here for free. They crossed off Bill Cosby's name for obvious reasons, but it's like Bill Cosby, Denzel Washington, Barack Obama. It was always my goal. It's like I want to be one of those people on that list.
I think there's the guys I know always pay when they're there, but I bet they could get in for free.
I bet Obama never paid.
Obama?
I bet Obama never paid.
Yeah, I bet he hated the food there too. It doesn't seem like Obama food.
Potentially stuck a hair in there. Excuse me.
Yeah.
The worst.
But yeah, he went to Five Guys for free, and then a few months later, the place was contaminated with rats. I'm not saying anything. I'm just stating what happened.
All right, QAnon. Which, by the way, the worst part of the whole thing, Comet Pizza's great. Have you ever been to Comet Pizza?
I had it one time. I had their buffalo chicken pizza.
Their smoked mozzarella with like smoked onions and everything else on it. Fantastic.
I've heard about that. I have not tried that.
They don't have a basement. That's the only thing And there's so many of these commentators, by the way, these Republican commentators or conservative or whatever they call themselves.
I always feel like liberals went to Comet Ping Pong Pizza and conservatives went to We the Pizza.
Well, okay, so it's owned. Doesn't Bethesda have a ownership stake in it? Or
in Comet?
Yeah.
He was gifted a stake in it.
Can I be honest with you? So I read those emails where they came up with Pizzagate, and then we should end this because it's going to go off.
It was about to get real conspiratorial.
No, it's not at all. So I read those emails where he's like, let's go get pizza. You know what I think it is? They have a great bar there. I think they were drinking midday, and I think that was their excuse to go drink midday.
Yeah, we should end things here before I get into it.
Oh, my God. You actually believe
I don't believe... Okay, do I believe what the QAnon people believe? No. But was there some strange shit going on in those emails, the Panama Papers? There was some strange
Panama Papers
shit.
That's a whole other conversation. We can talk about that another time. But, no, Eastside Pies was in on... So they had put Eastside Pies in Pizzagate. And Eastside Pies was actually a trailer that definitely didn't have a basement.
They don't have
on
a basement.
my running route in Austin, my jogging route every day. Look, no, man. But no, I think they were just alcoholics that went and got drinks at the bar all the time. That's my theory.
Tim, this has been the longest episode of the show, and I'm glad we're able to do this. I've been wanting to pick your brain about all these things for months. And specifically for a lot of there's always going to be a few people listening who want to go out and be storytellers, whether they want to do it through the lens of commentary or whether they want to actually just do the hard work of being a straight reporter. Being a straight reporter, regardless of your personal opinions, personal beliefs, that job fucking sucks.
It does. Most of it is watching TV and writing what you watched on TV.
Yeah, but even when you actually go and have to go on site and report something, you put in all that work and no one reads your shit.
I did, and we're wrapping up, but I was the Supreme Court reporter for Talk Radio News Service for a while, and I used to go on campus all the time, to the Supreme Court, and in Congress and stuff.
Do you think Ginsburg's alive?
Yeah. I mean, she's sick, but yeah, she's fine. And by the way, she could have retired at 80 casually during the Obama administration and had a 45-year-old woman, ultra-progressive, replace her, but she has too big of an ego to retire. It's her fault that all of this stress happens. It's her fault. But anyway, no.
For budding storytellers out there that know that there are stories to be told, but they don't know how to do so, what's your advice to them?
I don't know. Just tell the story. That's all I've ever done. I've never gone through any formal training or anything like that. I was just mouthy, and then people started listening. And then you'd be surprised where things go out. Just be authentic to yourself. And don't steal somebody else's fucking idea. Because, if you go to steal somebody else's idea, it's not going to be as good as the original. It just can't be. Like, there's just, I don't know. Then again, Apple iPod did steal the Zune, so.
Rest in peace, Zoom.
When you're telling a story, it's not about you, it's about somebody else. It's about something else. And that's the big advice. It's not about you. So, and it's very hard to do because people think that people go into journalism to be famous now. And like back in the day, people did not.
It used to be a blue-collar job.
Yes. And
It still very much is.
I mean, the heroes of journalism from back in the day are heroes because they worked their ass off and they told stories, not because they, like, you know.
Hunter Thompson reported and wrote straight copy for 15 years before he even wrote Hell's Angels. He did that to feed his family.
Yeah.
And he was hunting elk and having to, like, drag it into his fucking cabin to feed his pregnant wife. Like, even he put in the work.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But yeah, no. Don't make it about you. Make it about the story. That's it.
Awesome. Tim, thank you so much. People want to follow you and all your misadventures and everything online. How could they do so?
At Tim Runs His Mouth, you know that.
There's always the one person who's like, where do I find
tag me in all of it when
it's
you
going to be in the
post
show
shit.
notes. I'm going to tag you. People, it's
Yeah.
your fault if you don't know this point. Anyway, this has been it. Love you all. Take care. Stay COVID-free. Don't destroy businesses. This is Remso W. Martinez. Good night.
Check out our other shows and more from the We Are Libertarians Network at wearelibertarians.com.